I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast, episode number 137. This one's with previous guest, Adam Kennedy, and we talk about how he's been working for himself for the last 5 years as the co-owner of Refill Coffee Cart. But because it's Adam, this is kind of an old school Ramblin' Man where there's a lot of tomfoolery, a lot of jackassery going on. But it's a great conversation, and it's a long conversation because, of course it is, between Adam and I. What you missed out on was the hour and a half before this where we shoved pizza in our faces, and the probably hour after this while we watched more football. But, as always, I appreciate all of my time with Adam, even though he gives me a hard time incessantly. But the big thing is, it's great that he's hit the 5-year mark of doing Refill full time. And if you'd like to support them, go to refillcoffeecart.com and make sure to also follow them on all the social, but you can buy some coffee from them on the site directly. Be sure to do that. And also be sure to follow them on all social media. But I appreciate Adam for being on and giving me a hard time, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. You be the judge. Sponsor this week is Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a graphic design, illustration, and social media consultation company based here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So they do work for clients big and small all over the country, all over the globe, in fact. But they also do photography, videography, video editing, and audio editing, website design, SEO, writing, content development. Hell, they'll babysit your kids if it nets them money. So make sure you give them a follow on social media on either Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn at Feral Giant. And be sure to give them an email today and hire them for your next project. Without much further ado, here's the episode.
Because I never know how to start. So this
Gotcha.
will be a
Yeah.
good start.
How's Joe Rogan start? He says like, "What's up, you freaks? Alpha Brain." Let's get right into the Alpha Brain read.
We could do the Mark Maron, what the fuckers, what the fuck buddies.
I have never listened to Mark Maron's podcast. Never. But he wasn't he one of the kind of the first guys that was figured out how to make money doing it?
Here we go.
Are we going? Is this
Here
it?
we go.
It's it.
So, everybody get ready to drink because I'm going to mention one of the 3 names that I always mention on these damn podcasts. But off mic, I've already mentioned one.
He has.
Many times.
Yes.
But Jimmy Pardo was actually the first one.
Jimmy Pardo.
Never not funny.
Great-grandson of Henry Pardo, known murderer.
I thought you were going to say Don Pardo, announcer of SNL, because that's the one he gets all the time.
Oh, Henry Pardo, I don't think is a real person.
So when Jimmy Pardo started, it was him. Here's a name for you. Leo Laporte.
That's a good name.
Do you remember Leo Laporte?
No.
He was like a nerd news kind of guy.
No, I don't.
Leo Laporte.
I'm much younger than you.
Fuck off. You were in college when all this happened. You were out of college when all this happened.
But I started college at age 12. I'm a child prodigy. I was the youngest MD at my hospital. This podcast is called Lying.
This podcast is called Lying with the Boys. Good Lord.
What does bussin' mean? How do you?
Because they record it in a bus.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know what bussing meant, and I wondered how you did that with the
Yeah.
boys. But they're in a bus.
They're in a bus.
Okay, that's fun. I like that. We are also in a bus.
Obviously.
We're live in Jody's renovated bus that he has turned into a giant porta potty slash podcast studio.
/ Airbnb.
Yes.
If you really need to take a poop, you can rent my large porta potty on Airbnb.
Yes.
I did see where there was a minor league baseball stadium you could rent on Airbnb.
Whoa.
And I saw it on TikTok, and I was like, "What the?" And I was like, "Well, that's cool." I was like, "I should look out how much this is." I was like, "But that's weird. It has like 4 bunk beds and 2 queen size bed, and they're all in the same room." I was like, "Well, that could be kind of weird."
Yes.
It's like, let me look at how much this is. Oh, it's $7,000 a night. Let's go with no. I was like, "Are you out of your mind? Like, who would spend this money?" But
I don't know.
it's in Florida. Man.
Yeah, that tracks. That's a Florida thing. So spend $7,000 a night to sleep in a bunk bed. And I get that it's in a baseball stadium. That's cool in and of
You
itself.
can take batting practice. You essentially have free reign of the field and the facilities.
Is the concession stand open?
Oh, that's where you can get your money back.
That's it. Yeah. Like
You can get 100 tall boys of Bud Light, and that would make up your $7,000 back.
Ooh, okay. You get 100 tall boys of Miller Lite. You stack them into a beer can pyramid into the outfield, and then as you're doing batting practice, whoever knocks over the beer can pyramid is the winner
And doesn't have to pay for their night at the stadium.
and gets top bunk when you go to
Or
sleep.
it's one of the queen beds.
Oh, there's queen beds. I forgot about it. Okay, small detail. Maybe the bunk beds are queens. Maybe that's the big swerve.
No, they're king bed. They're California kings.
California king,
Oh my God.
and they're stacked on top of each other.
So forever, I didn't know there was actually a bed called a California king. The only way I knew the term California king was from here's the throwback for you, even though
Yes.
you're so much younger than me. It was an Everclear song.
Yes. Yes. Also named after the actual former king of California, Henry Pardo, known murderer and father of podcast host Jimmy Pardo.
Grandfather. You said grandfather earlier.
He was
His own grandpa? Have you ever heard that song?
no.
There's a song called I'm My Own Grandpa. It's an old song, and Willie Nelson, here you go. Man, this is old school rambling, man. We were just bullshitting to our heart's content. Willie Nelson, there for a time, was doing a new album every 9 months.
That's too much.
They were good.
You gotta slow down.
I
Willie.
would buy it, but I ended up finally, I was like, I can't keep buying these albums. But he would do like a blues album. And then he did one that was a duets album that ended up being very successful.
Did you ever hear his duet with Ja Rule?
No.
Yeah. Where would I be without my baby? That one? That's Willie Nelson. He's
Okay.
in there. You know
I
that?
can't tell if you're bullshitting me at this point.
This podcast is called Lies.
Yeah. Because he has done one with Snoop Dogg. That is true.
But I imagine they have some things in common. I'm
Yeah.
sure they would hang out with each
Yeah,
other. Yeah,
yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
But he did a blues album, and then he did a family kids album where it was him and his family, and they
Yes.
did a kids album, and it's one of the coolest designs for his CD.
That's a very fun idea.
Yeah. But on there was I'm my own. He also did the Rainbow Connection. His version of Rainbow Connection is very good.
Okay.
It's just like him and a guitar, him and Trigger, his guitar.
Oh, I didn't know he named his guitar.
Yeah. But he did, and since then he's done ones. It's like there was a female writer, Cindy something,
Lauper.
yeah, obviously, an old country writer,
Crawford.
No, it was Lauper. That he did all. Crawford was a different album, but he covered Cindy Walker, did all of her songs, and it was really good. And then
Okay.
he did one of him and all female singer songwriters. He did another duets album that was really good.
This is
But
recently?
the female singer songwriter and the Cindy Walker in the last 5 years.
I had no idea.
But the albums I'm talking about were like early 2000s. But
Okay.
the Family album was really good. But yeah, he did a song on there. There's a song. It's an old song called "I'm My Own Grandpa," and it's like, it's funny. It's funny.
How could it not be?
Yeah, but it's talking about the circumnavigating way that it was like, and then my aunt married my uncle, my grandfather's brother. Like it just keeps going down, and he was like, and then the chorus is "I'm my own grandpa." It's just really funny. It's a funny song.
Way to go, Will. Shout out to Willie Nelson.
out to Willie
big,
Nelson.
Big friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
Willie
He's
Nelson.
major sponsor of the podcast.
He is?
Yeah.
He's the one who bought the bus.
Yeah, he's the one who bought the bus.
That's why you call the bus Willie.
Yeah.
I thought that was just like, I don't know, it's a cute word you had for toilet, but okay.
No.
Now Willie, okay.
No.
Willie the bus. I
It
get
wasn't perverted. It was actually Willie Nelson. Oh my God. This will be the least downloaded. Oh my God.
If anyone got this far, like you can't,
Yeah.
you can't turn back now.
We've
Keep
we've
listening.
only done 8 minutes out of
keep
it.
keep listening. Keep listening.
And actually, we'll have to edit a little bit of the beginning, so we've only done like 6 minutes.
Okay. What part do we have to cut?
I don't know. Kirk or Kurt will figure that shit out.
Kurt. Okay.
So for anybody listening, we're also watching football in the background. So if we start being quiet, I apologize.
We just cut it out.
Yeah, Lord.
Just add it, splice in some like light applause.
Yeah,
There we go. Yeah.
I'm known to do Foley work. It's weird because you can hear the reverberation from the bus.
It is very echoey. Yes. Is this bus lined with copper?
Well, copper and catalytic converters. Don't ask me where I got them all. All right, so Adam, former guest of the podcast.
Current guest of the podcast.
Okay. Don't get ahead of yourself, Adam.
Okay.
We can still shut this off. I'm trying to think. You've been on 2 episodes before.
Yeah, way back like 5-6 years ago.
You were on episode number 2 with your lovely wife, Amy.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. That did happen.
And then you were on episode like 12,
Okay.
where we talked about unfriending people.
Yeah.
So, and I will say it here to hold, because I meant to bug you about this before we got on the air, but now that we're on the air, now it's accountable.
Okay.
I bugged you about this years ago, and I'm going to bug you about it again.
Uh-huh.
I think you should do a Pachakachaw speech called Unfollow.
Oh, yes. You have mentioned I should do this.
Yes, because I am about to do one.
Oh.
I think I have another idea for it.
The sequel to your first one.
I think I'm going to do one. My buddy Mike Jones, funnily enough, not the rapper,
I wasn't gonna. That's Jody. That's low hanging fruit.
Big Mike.
That's low hanging fruit, and I'm not about that kind of humor.
He did a speech, and in the speech, he talked about a lot of different things. His journey in life. He was a football player that ended up becoming a cheerleader. And if you saw him,
Okay.
when he saw me, he was like, "I'm not used to seeing someone bigger than me." That's how big this dude is.
Big
like
guy.
he's a big guy.
Big guy.
Great guy.
Mm-hmm. Good
But-
guy. Good guy.
He is a good guy. And in his speech, here's for the listener at home. I'm the earnest one. Adam's the jackass. Just think about that this entire episode. I'm never a jackass. Adam's always the jackass. He couldn't hear me because I'm cupping my hands over my mouth.
So I'm in an isolated booth. The podcast studio on the bus has 2 booths.
He's
Like,
in the.
yeah.
You know how in some buses they have the handicap optional version where you can go down a little ramp.
Oh
in
yeah,
the back?
I know what you mean. Yes.
So I've made that into a booth, and that's what Adam is sitting.
That's it. So you just lower me slowly
Yes.
to make sure I
Any
cannot hear the
buzzing you hear in the background is just Adam slowly being lowered.
It's my booth,
Um,
hydraulic booth.
but Mike talked about this thing, and I think I've talked to you about it before, about circles in your life. It's like you have these people out here, and this is not going to be good for audio, but it's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
These people out here, he's like, these are people, you'll bump into when you're downtown, but you don't really know them.
Yes.
You know enough to be a nod.
Yes.
And you get these people here. These are the people you work with that you say hi to when you're getting coffee, but not much about. And it just keeps going in. And he was like, and this one's your family.
Okay.
The smallest one. And he was like, and family doesn't have to be blood. Family can be those closest to you that no matter what, they're there for you and you're there for them and all that.
Lovely.
And so I'm thinking about taking that idea because I also found out he is not the originator of that idea.
Okay.
That it's been, other words, and doing a talk on called like circles and community and doing like that, talking about that in general and then talking about how you should be more pro-community in your day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't worry about yourself as much. You should actually give a shit about the people around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that seems like it could be valuable. We literally, me and you, we discuss a lot of advertising and marketing that we see, and community gets placed in these ads a lot.
Yeah.
And so much so it's become really vague. And I always wonder and wish for the ad to be like, explain what you mean by that. Like, hey, come on down for soda and community. Like, what is that? Are you selling community?
Yeah.
Is community for sale? Like, what does this mean? Are you giving it away? Like, you're just inviting us all over for free soda so we can get to know each other? Like, what does that mean? Help me know what that means.
Well, in the social media stuff, always in the text says community and conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, I'm saying we're talking about people who work in social media or want to work in social media.
Mm-hmm.
That community.
Yeah, that's
but
useful content.
I think it's what I'm thinking of that I will have a hard time with this speech is not pointing at people directly and saying this person is shitty because they don't want to be part of the community.
Yeah.
They give a shit about themselves. They don't give a shit about anybody else. And that drives me nuts.
Yeah, and good for you for realizing that, because that kind of passive-aggressive or directly aggressive stuff can easily take away from what you're actually trying to say. Like, I'm trying to say something, give actionable steps to doing something positive and not demonstrating, like, well, here's who I think is really bad at this.
Yeah.
Like, it sort of tears down the whole structure of what you're hoping to do.
But I think I may have to work it in a way of like, here's person A.
Yes.
And here's person B. Person A
Yes.
Operates solely about making sure they make money to the point of they will not mention anybody else, will not support anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Their only goal is to make money.
Yeah.
And they mention other people in saying, oh, look at this brand. I was like, yeah, but you're wanting to get money from that brand.
Yeah.
You're not doing that because you actually enjoy that brand. That's kind of feels disingenuous to me.
Yeah.
It's like person B actually goes to events, actually supports people in that world that they work with. And they want to see the rising tide theory. Everybody succeed. They're not placing themselves. Sure, they want money, but they don't want money above cutting other people out.
Sure. And to piggyback on that, I don't think the concept of wanting to earn money, generally speaking, is bad.
No, not at all.
And I also hope I live my life in a way that people realize that I do things to make money, and I am also transparent and sincere about how I try to make money and who I try to work with and who I try to give jobs with the company that I help run, that kind of thing. It's like, we can do both. Like, we can admit we're hoping to be paid and still support other people and companies and pat each other on the back and be sincere about it versus sometimes I'll look at copy that I write for something and I'll think, like, Adam, you're being a little manipulative here.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't do that. Like, you're being a little too grandstandy, patting yourself on the back like you have a great idea. And it's like, Adam, like, just say what you mean. Don't try and trick people into thinking.
Whereas I worry sometimes about the language I use and saying, I think the people I'm shitting on may figure out that I'm shitting on.
Should make a Rambling Man decoder ring. And then,
Oh, it's not even that.
Yeah.
For anybody listening at home, go to @FerrellJohn on any social media and read through my Motivational Mondays. And about 1 out of every 3 will be targeted at somebody in my head.
Passive aggressive Mondays.
Yeah, passive aggressive. Hey, sometimes hate is a good motivator, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
People want to shit on it. People want to say you shouldn't have enemies, you shouldn't hold grudges. I vehemently disagree. But also, you and I have had this discussion of, I also don't care. I don't they're not living rent free in my brain, but I also would like for them to fail. I just don't think about it every day.
Okay.
But every once in a while
Yeah.
they'll pop up and I'll be like, fuck that person.
Yeah.
I think I don't like that person. That's not a good person.
I'm glad I don't have a lot of grudges in work world.
Right.
But personally, I hold grudges against people from my childhood that is not good. I realize that now, but I have not yet put the work in to let go of some of these grudges. Like I'll tell Amy, my wife, stuff that happened to me when I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
And just and not in the context of like, hey, here's a funny story. Like, hey, that reminds me of like this thing that I'm still mad about from when I was 8.
Yeah.
That like my mom did to me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I need to make an effort to stop being mad about that kind of stuff. Like that kind of grudge, that makes my life worse. That introduces like sadness into my life. I can't tell you what to do with your grudges.
I'm of two minds on that though. Because I think if it doesn't run your daily life, or if you can use it to think about how you need to be better as a person, I'm not necessarily sure it's 100% a bad thing.
I hear you. I don't have.
And that's here you go. Also,
Yes.
two individuals.
Yes. Me and
That's
you.
how it is for me.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that's how it is for you.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And
The thing we've talked about before also is you cannot like somebody and I can like them and we're both correct.
yeah. We don't-
100%.
Yeah, and I'm glad, especially when you and I talk about people and places and things we like or don't like. I don't perceive either one of us feels the urge of like, I have to get Jody to change his mind.
Right.
Like if Jody says like, oh, I don't like this comedian, and Adam does, I don't feel, oh, I got to convince you. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I do. I won't send you any of his clips, and I won't work it into a conversation like jokes I think are funny. Like, okay, that's fine. We don't have to like all the same things.
Bert Kreischer.
Yeah.
But
Like, I
I
don't
think
love
it's also
Bert Kreischer.
Bert, there you go. He got mentioned. But it's also like I talk to everybody about Bert and
You
Kevin
do.
Smith and Jimmy Pardo. It's not like I'm focusing on you and being like, well, if you don't like this person, I'm gonna keep talking. No, I just like him, and it's part of my not day to day, but part of how I think and who I enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, the amount of people I know that shit all over Kevin Smith, I'm just like, that's fine.
Can you think of one reason why someone's like, oh, I don't like Kevin Smith?
It's because of his more recent films.
They just don't like
watch
his
them and they're
movies?
like, oh, they suck. And I was like,
Dude.
I think it's a difference of you're older and maybe you don't resonate with his films as much as you did back then
Yeah.
when it was more of in your age range.
Yeah, maybe. But I've watched, his movie, the first one I heard about that had a loud voice that didn't like it was it Geely with Ben Affleck?
No, that came out at the same time as Jersey Girl.
Okay.
Jersey Girl and Geely came out about the same time, and they both had Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez.
Which one is a Kevin Smith movie?
Jersey Girl.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I was going to say, like, I saw Geely and it wasn't that bad.
Oh.
I don't think I've seen.
I did not.
I
see
don't think
Geely.
I've seen Jersey Girl.
Jersey Girl is one of those films that, because I'm a nerd and know this shit, there is like a 3-hour cut that is a better cut.
It's a
Because
3-hour movie?
no, it's like an hour and 35 minutes, hour and 40 minutes.
Then why is it called a 3-hour cut?
No, he has a 3-hour cut somewhere that's never been released.
Oh.
So in the film, spoiler alert, for a film that not many people saw and everyone shit on without seeing it.
Everyone?
Yes, everyone. I don't talk in hyperbole.
Lies.
Oh, fuck. In it, Jennifer Lopez is only in like the first 5 minutes.
Oh.
And it shows Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez like falling in love, having a relationship, getting pregnant, and then having the baby, and she dies in childbirth.
Oh, my.
So
How
the
sad.
3-hour cut is
Yeah.
you have like 30 minutes of that.
Okay.
So that when she dies, it fucking hits you.
Yeah.
And also, they gave away that spoiler in the trailer. So if you just went into that film dry and didn't know anything about it,
Right.
you would probably have a much different feeling about it.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the other thing about that film is, not using this as an excuse, but I'm always like, it also came out right after 9/11, shortly after 9/11.
Ooh, didn't
And
remember
he is
that.
a Jersey guy, so he is, he was feeling very emotional.
Yes.
And also his dad had just died.
Oh, my.
So
Yeah,
it is
heavy.
a very sweet and saccharine kind of film.
Okay.
But he was going, I was like, what? Also, George Carlin is excellent in that film. And then his two buddies who were in that film were played by Mike Starr and shit, why am I blanking on his name? The stapler guy from Office Space. Stephen Root, who's been in tons of shit.
Yes.
So they play George Carlin's co-workers who are his buddies, and their dynamic together is very funny.
Okay.
Because all they are is picking on one another.
Okay.
And pecking at one another.
Yeah.
And it's, everybody shits on it for being like saccharine or too sweet or too like cutesy.
Okay.
And I was like, he's also going through a lot of shit when that happened. So he let all of his emotions pour out into the writing of that film.
Okay.
Now, his more recent films.
Like the other.
I've not seen Clerks 3 yet.
Yeah.
But before that, he did Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. And before that, he did Yoga Hosers. And before that, he did... shit. Why am I going to blank on it?
I have
The
no
Walrus
idea.
film. Tusk.
Oh, I have no idea.
So, Yoga Hosers is not made for me. It's made for teenage kids.
Okay.
But the one critique I won't own on Kevin Smith that nobody else acknowledges is he's gotten a lot lazier as a filmmaker as he's gone on.
Okay.
Where he'll watch the scene play out and he's like, that's good enough. I was like, you shouldn't be settling for good enough.
Okay.
I want you to, because that's why you worked so hard on making Clerks great, on Dogma great, on all those films great, is because you actually worked at it.
Yeah.
And I don't think he has that in him anymore, which is a bummer.
Yeah. But now I don't know this from experience from watching these movies, but I can wrap my head around that sometimes you just don't have the energy or the desire to put as much effort, because once you have become a success, like I can see that maybe it kind of extinguishes some of that want a little.
I'm going to go do a hard left turn when I say this. They're one of my favorite comic artists of all time. This guy, Bernie Wrightson.
Okay.
He's the co-creator of Swamp Thing, which there's a Swamp
Oh,
Thing.
yes, I'm familiar with the Swamp Thing or Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing.
His first name is not the.
No.
Got it.
His goal in life was to do an illustrated version of the Frankenstein novel.
Okay.
So he did that. And he actually said after that it was hard for him to get as up for drawing stuff because he had done his dream job. And he's a fantastic artist. But it was his projects after that were fewer and far between.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff it seemed like he did for me. He also, I knew some people that owned a comic book shop here down in Farragut that they brought him in for a signing before I got back into comic books, before I knew about him, and said he was he and his wife are honestly two of the nicest people they'd ever met in their life.
It's nice
which
to
is
hear.
great to hear in
Yes.
somebody you admire.
Absolutely.
Love hearing it.
Yes.
Love hearing it. But it was God. Stop showing him getting hurt,
Yeah,
man. You're killing me.
Patrick Mahomes getting his ankle squashed by
God, they-
giant people.
Will not stop showing it. Okay. Well, for anybody listening, you can figure out the Chiefs beat the Jags. Thank God. And Douchey McDoucherson from the Jags can go home now.
It's mean. It's talking about Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, who looks like every 80s movie bad guy.
Kind of like young Fabio.
Young Fabio.
I went, would you believe, one time at a sushi restaurant in the Los Angeles area, the table next to me was Fabio.
Really?
True story. Sitting there with an old coworker who has a great name, I think. It just has a really nice ring to it. Molly Stone Cody. And she was my coworker at the time.
It sounds like somebody out of the show Yellowstone.
I just think it has a really
Molly
nice
Stone Cody.
Just think it has a nice ring to it.
You know who you don't fuck with? Molly Stone Cody.
And she called me out of saying, like, I see you keep looking at him. It's like, I just can't help it. Like, one, he is remarkably good looking.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he was really big. And he wasn't as thin as when I'd last seen him on like the I Can't Believe It's Not Butter commercials. But that's not to say he was out of shape. He was just bulkier and this beautiful head of hair. And it was just so bizarre that this person who I'm seeing on TV since in book covers since I was a child is right beside me. And as I understand it, in that Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, Hollywood type of world,
Here we go.
is similar to like in Nashville. Like, hey, you might see a famous musician in Nashville when you go to Publix, and it's an unwritten rule: we don't bother them. And similar to seeing Fabio eating sushi, of course the servers are being very nice to him, just as they were to everybody that walked in. But it felt like there's also this rule of like, we're not going to bother Fabio, and we're not going to stare. We're not going to like secretly take pictures. And while I'm not the type to try and like secretly take a picture, I did glance his way at least a dozen times because it was just so surreal. Like,
I understand that if he's out to dinner with his family or whomever. I had friends that, God, how can I say this without outing these people? That lived in an area where there were famous people.
Okay, all the time, like a Nashville, where you might see where you might see a musician.
Yeah, let's use Nashville.
Grocery shopping,
And they said, well, the rule was you don't say anything to those people. And they were in a space where that person was near them, walked up and was near them for a minute, and they were like, and I did what was right. I didn't look at him. I didn't talk to him. And I listened to that. I was like, they're still a fucking human.
Yeah.
And also where you all were at, it would not have been weird to go, hey, I really liked everything you've done. And guess I would be willing to bet dollars donuts that celebrity wouldn't have been like, oh my God, you can't talk to me that way. No, they would have been like, thank you.
Yeah, I would. Now, I certainly wouldn't know. I've never been mobbed by my adoring public. Yeah. But I would think, hey, getting a compliment in passing would be nice.
Yes.
Now, please don't ask me for something like,
or if you're out to dinner with family. Like I was in Boston and was in a restaurant for lunch, and I turned a corner and we were in this room to where there was a table with two guys. And then we were sat at the table right next to him. Yep. And I turned around, looked at the corner, and I looked there, and it's Nick Swardson. Cool. And one of his buddies. And I was like, oh, shit. And I just kind of looked at him and nodded, and he nodded at me. And we sat there and ate. And then I tried to explain to the two people that I was with who the fuck Nick Swardson was.
Yes.
Because they were older, and they did not know.
Gotcha.
And I was like, to this day, I still wish I would have said, hey, man, you're awesome. Like, I like your stand-up and whatever. Because guess what? I would be willing to bet that if Nick Swardson was standing here right now, he probably would say something like that would have made my day.
I'm sure it wouldn't have hurt.
No.
Now, if you had pulled up a chair at their table or you had tried to take a picture of him, that's too much.
And here's how I kind of know that. Because I go to so many shows and because I travel and have big ears is a great example.
Yes.
The amount of famous people that I've seen at big ears
Yes.
that are maybe not even as famous as Nick Swartzen, but to me, like
Yes.
musicians and stuff.
Yes.
And I always just walk up and say, hey, really enjoy your work. Thank you for coming to my town. I hope you have a good time while you're here. And
That
I'll
seems nice.
walk the fuck off.
That seems nice.
But to have people say, no, you can't do that because they're famous. I don't give a shit. They're still a person.
I think read the room.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Take context into account. I think people will enjoy getting a sincere compliment.
I also have the big guy clause in that there are times where I just... Here's a weird thing about being a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes I feel a lot more comfortable and a lot less hesitant or scared than most people, which sounds weird to say. That if I was in some room and I saw, let's say, Mick Jagger and somebody in Barley's chit-chatting,
Okay.
I would have... They weren't eating. They were just sitting there drinking club soda because I don't know if Mick Jagger is sober.
Right.
And they were just standing there chit-chatting. I think partly because I've always been a big dude, would have no hesitation going over and go, hey, man, hate to interrupt. Really love your work. You're awesome. Hope you have fun time here in town.
Yep.
And walking off.
Yep.
And I think being a big guy is kind of like, oh, I don't see a problem there. Because I don't think anybody's going to say, hey, you get the fuck away from him or whatever. And I think there may be a little bit of, what is that called? It's
Arrogance.
fuck off. No, it's lack of fear. Like a lack of, when I walk through the street, I don't usually worry about somebody sticking me up or hurting me or anything. Confidence. It's some kind of weird confidence. I don't know how to put it.
I don't have a fear of being...
I've also been in a lot of fights. That's another reason why I may have that confidence.
And I don't have a fear of being harmed.
Yeah.
Ever. I've certainly been.
Here we go.
First
ass whooping on Randall.
But I do have a fear of bothering people and being in the way. I almost always feel physically in the way.
Yeah.
And almost always, especially if I'm asking for something or if I need to step into a conversation that's happening, I almost always feel like I'm bothering people.
I hate that too.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. The worst is when you go up to talk to somebody and they're talking to somebody else and you're like, I'll just wait until they're done and then I'll get to talk to them. And then you stand there for way too long to where it starts to become awkward. And it's just, and there have been times where that's happened to where I've almost been like, grab the person I wanted to talk to, point it at the person that was talking to them and say, I need you to stop talking because you're bothering them.
Yeah.
That happened here with Jason Isbell.
At your house?
No, here in Knoxville.
In the bus?
Yeah, in the bus. With Jason Isbell.
Okay.
Do you know Jason Isbell?
Musician who was in town recently.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
But I saw him, and this was years ago, kind of, he was getting bigger, but he wasn't as big. He hadn't won.
Physically, like the Hulk?
Technically.
Yep.
Technically.
Okay.
Not physically, but technically. I don't even know what that means.
Me neither.
But somebody was just gnawing his ear off about his gear. And he was just trying to put up his shit and get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Because it was in a tiny show. And I was standing talking to his wife because I'm kind of friendly with his wife.
Oh, okay.
And I saw it happening.
Yes.
And then she was trying to get her stuff together. We talked for a minute. She was giving me a CD.
Oh.
And we were just chit-chatting and joking.
Yes.
But I knew there was a point I was like, at any point I can dump out of this conversation. And I kept watching him and that dude talking to his ear off. And I finally went, all right, it's good to see you. I was like, I'm going to say hi to Jason real quick. It's a great show. And she's like, yeah, go for it. And then I'm going to head out of here. But it's great seeing you, you know, wrap everything up in a bow. Walk over to him. I think I counted to 10. And then I finally went, I pointed at the guy gnawing his ear off. I was like, hey, man, I need to interrupt you for a second because I got to roll out. But, hey, Jason, man, it's good to meet you. And he turned around and looked at me and smiled very big.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back, but I was like, sometimes it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're helping somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Certainly, yeah, because I certainly wasn't there, but perhaps this other person you're referring to should have read the context of the situation. Like, oh, this guy, his show is over. He does not live here in downtown Knoxville. He has equipment that
He is bent over picking his pedals up off the ground.
Yeah, like I can appreciate feeling starstruck.
Yeah.
And sort of having the motivation of like, I may never get to talk to him again.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, if it were me, my gear of I'm afraid I'm bothering him would kick in pretty quick. I was like, I would not need a third party to come tell me, hey, he's trying to lift this heavy stuff and get out of here. Like I would tell myself, like, he didn't want to talk to me. I'm bothering him. I'll leave.
And also, I'm going to say this is a big guy thing and not a man thing because I don't want to say that anyone is lesser. I have also done that with women where I have seen men talking at female singers after a show at Tennessee Shines, one of those smaller shows, where the singers hang out afterwards and can talk.
Right.
To the point to where I have actually gone over and stopped. And I, again, not saying that to pat myself on the back or anything, but there was actually one time where two female friends, one of which you know, didn't send me in the room to get a guy away from a woman.
Right.
But we're both just like, I don't like that guy is back there. Because he is
maybe not respecting boundaries.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
I walk back there, I'm standing behind him, and he turns around and looks at me.
Well, he saw the shadow cast in front of him.
And then he kept talking to her, and the next words out of his mouth is, so are you all staying in town for the night or leaving?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I just at that point went, hey, man, are you about done? Because I would like to get a record from her, and I really need to head out of here. And she was like, yeah, can I take care of him? And he was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll see y'all next time you're in town. And then he left, and she looked at me and said, thank you. And I was like,
okay, good.
No problem. I'll still take an album. I didn't really want to buy an album from her.
Gotcha.
But I was just, and again, that's not patting myself on the back.
Yeah.
I'm just like stepping in to be like, hey, you need to fuck off.
Yeah, not everyone understands healthy boundaries, and even if I'm looking on, I'll just leave it at that. Like, not everybody understands healthy boundaries.
I saw a female comedian in Cleveland, Nikki Glazer, who's awesome.
Yeah,
she was on Chelsea Handler's show, and she's done her own stuff.
That
She's
name rings a bell.
Really funny. After the show, you could hang out and get a picture with her.
Cool.
And I felt kind of gross because she is a very attractive woman. And in this little room where people could meet her, there were two other dudes. And I was like, this feels
just
weird.
30 of y'all.
Yeah.
Got it.
This feels fucking weird. And I don't like this. But I was like, I'm still standing here. And one of her openers who was local was there. And I tried to talk to him because he was really funny.
Yeah.
He could not give a shit about me. To the point where I was like, well, fuck you. You weren't that funny. Like, I was actually getting a little angry. Because it was just like he was being such a douche. I was like,
how so?
Dude,
like, just blowing you off?
Just being very dismissive. And just like when I said, hey, man, because he only did like 5 minutes. I was like, hey, man, you were awesome up there. Like, I was so excited. And he was just like, like that. And then turned around and completely ignored me.
You want to improv that scene? I'll be him. No, I could do it.
No,
I could turn it on. I could be unpleasant.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
Again, first time for an ass whooping here on Hey, I'm not saying who's getting the ass whooping.
I will cheat.
It could be me.
I will gouge your eyes out.
Dude, you've got like a 3-gallon water bottle there. You could hit me over the head with.
I do. I have consumed 1 gallon of water and 1 can of Canada Dry Zero Sugar.
Sponsor the podcast.
Ginger ale. Because when I need zero sugar and I can't take a drive to Canada, I take a drive to my local convenience store and pick up a 12-pack of Canada Dry Zero Sugar Ginger Ale. That tastes like dryness.
So then Nikki Glazer comes out.
I am dry.
And the two
Is that a good tagline?
The two guys
Community
before
and
her
ginger ale.
talk to her, maybe get her to sign something, maybe get a photo. I can't remember.
Yes.
I get up for mine. I was like, hey, huge fan, whatever. I was like, would it be okay if we got a photo? Sure. So I hand somebody else my phone to take the photo. Not the opening act. He had fucked off by that point.
Got it.
Cool guy club. And I just stood there, kind of like with my hands behind my back. Because I was like, I'm not going to assume and put my arm around her because that feels gross.
That's a good move.
And she
Boundaries.
put her arm around me and
Okay.
pulled me close to her. I was like, okay, cool. Just put my arm around her
Okay.
shoulder. I was like, yeah, you did that.
Yeah, let that person lead.
Yeah.
Because that is a peculiar place. I would imagine that's peculiar when you're meeting a whole bunch of strangers who feel a connection to you that
Yeah.
you may not feel with them.
Yeah.
And like, what's the
Or
let
just
them
assume
decide.
that you can,
You can touch them.
that they're, because here's another question. If Bert was there, would you automatically put your arm around him? Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Would you pop your shirt off for the picture?
Of course. No, I would not. I'm too self-hating of what my body looks like to do that.
Such confidence and yet
Oh, yeah.
self-hating.
Totally.
The human mind is
The key is to take out that self-hatred on other people by like whooping their ass.
You judo your self-hatred.
Judy chop.
Wow.
Judy chop.
Jody's hands were just a blur of violence.
As
for
we're
the
watching
listeners at home.
Armor Gym
Armor
commercial,
Gym. Yeah.
the dude with a sick beard,
He does have a good beard.
but he's also wearing a baseball cap while he's working out, which seems odd.
That happens.
Oh,
yeah.
that's a local place.
It is, huh? Yeah, that's a local ad break.
Cool.
Which is, I wonder what they sell those for nowadays.
$5,000.
I mean, maybe for like a local ad break and a NFL playoff game. It might be.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so Adam,
Yes.
we're now 43 minutes into the
Oh,
podcast.
and we're done. And we're done.
home. For those listening at home, holy shit, had you started Refill when we did the first episode?
With Amy, no. I don't
It
think
had
so.
been, it was 5.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I know we recorded in like August, and I just hit 5 years, so I banked a bunch of episodes before I started releasing in January.
Mm-hmm.
So you hadn't started Refill at that point.
I don't think so, because when you interviewed myself and Amy, it was about when we went to Brazil, and I was working at Scripps Networks when we went to Brazil, and I don't think we had started Refill. It was probably in the discussion phase, but there was no business license kind of thing.
Okay.
But when you and I talked by ourselves on episode 12 or something like that, Refill did exist, I believe.
It did not.
It did not?
No. So
The
here's a little inside baseball.
Uh-huh.
I recorded an episode during the day
Yep.
with Aaron Donovan,
Okay.
which was episode 1, mountain biking in the Czech Republic. And then episode 2, I came over and recorded with you all about Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And then after we were done with that, you and I went into a back bedroom and recorded that because I did 3 in one day.
Oh, okay. Maybe what I'm thinking of.
Because it seems like I came back and interviewed you all, Amy, for something else.
The picture that you took for the podcast that was just you and I talking was when we went to, what was it, like
6th Avenue Deli.
that?
Yes.
And I think when you took that picture, perhaps Refill
Yeah.
was a thing.
Yeah, because you weren't. We were able to do lunch.
Yeah,
During
like
the-
I did not have to go to an office anymore, that kind of thing. Yeah, so we're working on 6 years of Refill being a thing.
6 years?
We're working on 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Do you know the anniversary date?
I don't know the real one. I was looking on my LinkedIn page of the first time I put it on my LinkedIn page, which was October 2017.
Okay.
But I was scared to put it on my LinkedIn page because I still worked for Scripps Networks when it started.
Yeah.
And I was irrationally, because I'm afraid, and I feel like I'm bothering everybody and I'm in the way all the time. And I was afraid that I don't know, someone would accuse me of using Scripps time to do
Right.
this other job, or would accuse me of not taking my responsibilities at Scripps seriously. I don't know. So refill had potentially become a thing maybe a month or two before that, and I was
Okay.
just afraid to put it out there publicly.
Okay. And so when you started, I'm going to ask, this is hilarious. Now I get to ask you a bunch of questions. I already know the answer.
Ah,
Another spoiler for the people at home.
indeed.
So what made you start? Where was the genesis of the idea of Refill Coffee Cart?
I hoped I could make money doing something that I thought was fun instead of making money to do things that I didn't have fun at. And I saw another business that was doing mobile coffee, and it inspired me. I thought that person looked like it. What are you doing?
I'm correcting you. There's a step before this.
There's a step before that? I don't know.
There was a local coffee shop
Yes.
that posted that they were thinking about selling their coffee shop.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Goodness.
This is going to just be a Bill
Yes.
Burr Monday morning podcast
Like,
where I'm going to tell your story.
That is an interesting swerve.
That's how
You know the answers to the questions, but I don't, and they're questions about my life.
Because that could have
and-
been like 7 years ago. Because it was well before Refill when that
Yeah.
person posted about selling.
I wonder if my Facebook Messenger goes back that far, because the
You
first
can search their name and find it.
yeah. So
We won't name this
a
person.
local coffee shop posted that they were selling their business, and I messaged them on August the 14th, 2017.
Also, for some reason, I had it in my mind that it was a lot further before you all.
And I would have thought that too had I not looked it up.
Because I wanted to think that the other mobile coffee cart company, I thought that happened in the spring. Because here's why. Because I thought Open Streets was in the spring.
Right. Well, and I was a fan of the other coffee company, and I'd go just buy coffee from them.
So
'cause I
maybe,
enjoyed
yeah.
them.
Okay.
But I wonder if I can find when I first messaged them. Yeah. So August 17th?
I think so.
Yeah. So August 17th, messaged this guy who was selling his coffee shop business, and he was like, we're wrapping up negotiations with this other company. And then August 19th, I send a message to the mobile coffee person who actually, that looks like a more fun job anyway. And that's the way we pursued it. We pitched the other company on, are you all looking for partners or investors? And me, Chad, Amy, all showed up with our resumes and hey, I work in marketing. I have a master's degree in advertising. My friend Chad here is a nuclear engineer. My wife Amy here is a human resources professional.
And that mobile coffee cart, for anybody at home, had not been around that long at that point.
about 2 years.
Had they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which in
The timeline is all fucked up in my head.
Which in the grand scheme of life, 2 years isn't a long time, but 2 years of running your own business does feel like does feel like a lifetime. And they, the existing company, they didn't want to go into partnership with anybody else, which I can have empathy for that. And but they said, if you pay us as consultants, we'll teach you how to do your own thing. Well, then let's do that. So Chad and Amy and I, we pursued that. And
at that point in Knoxville, coffee companies, coffee shops, let's think about it. There was Java, of course.
that's where I met my wife.
There was Remedy.
Yes.
Maybe Awaken had been open for a year
Definitely.
or two,
Definitely.
but
yeah.
not that long.
No, I don't believe so. Because Remedy had moved out
Right.
of that Old City place, and then Awaken popped up in the old
Yeah.
Remedy place.
I'm trying to think of anything else. I think even the one
Wild Love was not around yet. K Brew had their Broadway
The
location.
tiny location.
Yep, they had that.
And even like the one in Maryville was not that big, or they had.
Vienna was around, but
They hadn't
that
made their way to Knoxville.
that felt really far away.
Because they hadn't opened their Knoxville shop.
Correct.
yet.
Yeah, they had not done that. And anybody else? There was
I think
coffee and chocolate downtown or off the
Had
gate.
Honeybee opened yet?
I think.
I think so.
But they'd opened up in like going toward Farragut.
Yes.
Which also felt like a different little world.
East Nashville.
If you're just wanting, like, one of my greatest joys has been having a day off and walking to the neighborhood coffee place.
Yeah.
And so when I think about, like, those are like such happy little memories of walking to the coffee place. Honeybee, like, I don't have a lot of memories of that because I can't walk to West Knoxville kind of thing. And I couldn't walk to Maryville, to Vienna.
And I'm trying to think, like, what's the other place in West Knoxville? The one, good Lord, that Darren and his wife own, the adoption place.
Empty Cup.
Empty Cup. They
was
may
around.
have been around, but I
Yep.
may have not known about them at that point.
There was another one. The predecessor to Honeybee was something like Spiro Coffee.
Oh man, I barely remember.
Yeah,
that.
and I think from the foundation of Spiro, Honeybee came from that, but I'm not certain.
Also, Honeybee had not been around very long.
I don't
at
think
that
so.
point
I
at
don't
all.
think so.
Yeah. So it was still. So here's the reason why I set that up for anybody who is not in Knoxville. And holy shit, Jimmy Johnson is tiny. He's also in between two giants. So.
Howie Long and Michael Strahan.
Yeah. Because now downtown Knoxville, you and I and Donovan and I have joked about how many coffee shops there are within a very small area.
Usually when, to that context, when people have asked me if Refill operates a lot downtown, my quick answer is no. There's a coffee shop about every block, and we don't want to take anything away from what they're building.
Right.
I don't know if there is actually a coffee shop every block. I haven't measured it out, but there might be. Every block there might be an option for coffee, at least from the bridge to the 100 block of Gay Street. Maybe.
I think I always end at Remedy.
Okay.
Because Remedy is
I'm
close enough to where it's just past the end of Gay Street. Because Gay Street crosses and goes back where where Tall Man Comics used to be, and there's a bakery. So I always go from Remedy to the bridge. There's like 12 different places you can get coffee. That's a better way to put it. 12
is Matt Rob's the last one?
Yes.
Up near the bridge. Matt Rob's. And then
There's two Starbucks.
Where Frussies used to be, there's like a boba tea and coffee place that, forgive me, I cannot think of the name of it.
There's two Starbucks.
Two Starbucks. There's a coffee shop, at least there was, in the ground, or at least the Gay Street level floor of Tombras Group. It may not be open to the public. It might just be like an office
I think it's only an office.
And
coffee and chocolate.
Coffee and chocolate. There's Cafe Vicola.
Yes.
That I can't remember if it's before or after coffee or chocolate, if we're going that direction.
It's before.
And then even if you go up to Union, there's Mahalo.
Yep.
What was the coffee shop that was there right before Mahalo?
It was the same as the Java and I'm blanking on
and
it
Wild
right
Love.
Now. And Wild Love.
I just can't think of what it was called.
I can't pull it.
That wasn't that long ago.
No.
Anyway. Coffee and chocolate. Cafe 4 has a nice coffee. I wouldn't say it's a coffee shop, but they have nice.
But you can get coffee.
Little coffee set up there. Yeah. If you go beyond that, then you run into one of the Starbuckses, and then is that it? Is that it for that block?
That may be it.
Yeah. But then you go to the 100 block, and you have Jack's.
Yep.
That has a coffee. It's not just a coffee shop. They have a coffee bar.
Yeah.
And then now we're in the Old City, and now we're talking about Awaken, Old City Java. I guess I think that may cover it.
the two we're forgetting, one of them just went away.
Oh,
Status Dough is one of the other places.
it went away?
No. The two donut shops. Status Dough, and then the other donut shop, which is no longer there.
Got it.
So that makes it 12.
Right. Yeah. I forgot.
And also,
yeah, Status Dough.
before Vienna left, that made it 13.
Yeah.
And then if you counted that donut shop, that's 14. And then you end at Remedy, that's 15.
Are we counting Marble City Market? Because
That's what I was
they
counting.
have that Hot Shot Knox there now.
well,
Yeah.
then that replaces the donut shop.
Yep. So it's brand new.
So that's
Yeah.
like 13 or 14 places to get coffee in downtown Knoxville.
It's a lot.
So for anybody listening, and also anybody listening, whoever's going to visit here, if you go to either one of the Starbucks, I will find you and I will hunt you, because there's no good damn reason to go to either one of the Starbucks
No.
when there's so many good options.
There.
I tell you the one I kind of miss,
Right.
where Kazan used to be.
Yes.
Up by French Crepe Market Creperie.
Who also you can get you can get some
shit,
coffee at
that's
French
true.
Market. Yeah, you can get lattes or drip coffee. Yeah.
There used to be a little place in there that served like desserts and coffee that was great. That anytime there were these two guys, Phil and Gailey, that these two older guys, old fart, they're never going to listen to this, but it's funny making fun of them because they didn't like that they were old farts. That you've met Gailey, nicest guy in the world. Him and his wife Jenny are the nicest.
Oh,
curly hair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He always. Yeah.
Old fart.
He
Doesn't he
bought.
look really old.
I mean, I just assumed 87.
Which is weird because Jenny looks like 39 and Gailey looks so.
That's his daughter, right?
It's his granddaughter. But whenever we would go drinking downtown, I would take them to the bars downtown. We would end at that place because it was really cool. Like big cappuccinos,
I do not have a memory.
like the
of
size of soup bowl cappuccinos.
That's
man.
fun.
That's also a time when I could drink a soup bowl size cappuccino at 10 o'clock at night and
that. Yeah.
grind my teeth off
Yeah.
and go to bed.
Yeah. Things change.
So
Things change.
downtown, and then once you get outside downtown, it's a little more sparse. But there's still places like there's the place on campus that I always forget the name of.
There's Golden Roast,
Golden Roast.
which is off Melrose.
Golden Roast on
I
Sutherland.
love Golden Roast.
Yeah.
There's one on campus called UT Perk.
Oh yeah, there's one over by the old Walmart. Shoot,
Capybara.
Capybara. So I
Capybara
was just
is a
talking
really nice
to
place.
Amanda, who was just on the podcast, because her and I met there. She was
Mm-hmm.
an artist that was trying to make it, and I met up with her to just talk to her about what she was thinking when it came to art and what she wanted to do. and
Okay.
kind of all that stuff. And we met at that place, and it was really good. It was just very tight, and it was all kids, and I was not a kid. Like, she is still much younger than me, so she looked like she could have been a student.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel everybody's staring at me in this damn place. Kind of like that place we went to in JC where it was all college kids. The Cafe Gato, the cat.
Yes.
Which it was good. It was good.
It was
coffee.
good. Yeah.
It was good.
But yeah, like Capybara, I'm sure Capybara and Golden Roast, I'm
Yeah.
sure the college kids go
Oh.
crazy for that. And they're both really good. I'm very partial to Golden Roast. And when I went to University of Tennessee, but I didn't enjoy the nuances of coffee. I would go to the corner pilot and buy
Yeah.
a cheap, push a couple buttons and you got a cappuccino thing like that.
I still
worked-
drink that.
that worked for me, and I didn't know any different. And so I didn't feel the love for Golden Roast back then, but I can imagine if you're
Oh, has it been around that long? I didn't realize it had been around that.
I'm pretty sure it was there when I was
Oh,
in
wait,
school.
that's right. You're much younger than me.
That's it.
As you pointed
out. Good Lord willing, I'll be 19 this December.
It's weird because he graduated from college like 10 years ago. Okay, so
I'm 12-year-old MD.
man, so the timeline is not timelining in my head, to pull a phrase from the kids.
Time is a
The
tricky
math
thing.
is not mathing in my head.
Yeah.
Because I always thought it was, if I was telling the story, it was you all tried to get
Me, Chad, and Amy. It was.
Oh,
yeah,
it
was.
was.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't realize Chad was involved.
It was
at
going to be
that
a group
point.
effort. Yeah, because
Tried to get the coffee shop, and for some reason in my mind, it was like 6-9 months later that the coffee cart that you were like that you stumbled upon that they were offering opportunities for franchises or something,
Right. Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I had this idea like 6 or 9 months ago. I didn't realize it was such a 2 days. It
Yeah.
was such a short period of time.
Yeah, it was right off the bat. Even though we went to the mobile company second, it really was discovering the mobile company that made me think like, that seems like that could be fun
Yeah.
to make drinks for money. And yeah,
But you were still working at Scripps Networks.
I was.
So you weren't the main person out doing the coffee.
I was not.
But there came a point where you just got tired of working at Scripps Networks. No offense, Scripps Network. Well, I don't give a shit.
They don't exist anymore.
Yeah. So you were just like, you know what? I'm going to go all in on the coffee thing.
Yeah.
So how were you feeling at that point? Were you feeling
Scared. Yeah, I was like super scared. And the Scripps got bought by another company. And I learned that there were going to be, and so now it's not a merger, it's a takeover. Okay. And everybody understands that there will not be jobs for all of us and things will change. And when the news first came out from the company that there would be severance packages offered to people that were laid off, I went to my department's HR representative and I said, I would like to be laid off. And which was also scary because they don't have to do that. And now they know I don't want to be there. And so they could have just let me hang around until I eventually quit. And I did get laid.
Or could have laid you off 2 years from then.
Or found a reason to fire me. And then you get no severance package, you get no nothing. And eventually I did get laid off.
I would like to interject something, and I'm going to preface it by saying I'm going to sound like a giant asshole for asking this question, but I only ask this question because I know the answer and I know how awesome Amy is. When you're thinking about forcing laid off,
The issue, yeah.
you're talking to Amy. How is she feeling? Is she encouraging? She
was very encouraging. She was realistic in that Scripps paid me really fairly.
Yeah.
And we were very enthused to have that money, and we spent it doing fun things, and we saved. And Amy was realistic that, well, our lives could drastically change here without this amount of money. So from the time I asked to be laid off, but we don't know if it's going to happen, Amy and I started living off of just Amy's salary. And we started saving we already were saving for things, but we started saving everything from Scripps. Yeah. And we looked at, with Amy's urging, we looked at like, well, what do we owe money on? And we owed money on a car and a house. And we took the money we were saving from Scripps and the severance package money and paid off the car and the house. And so, okay, we don't have this looming thing over us because we knew it's still going to be a while before Refill could really pay me anything.
Right.
And so Amy was realistic and encouraging. And there were days where I would go to work for Refill and it would be incredibly discouraging. And she, on occasion, had said the wrong thing. Made me feel worse. Right. And she thought, well, I thought we were just joking. And I would tell her, like, that makes me feel bad. Like, that doesn't help. Mm-hmm. So she never said it again, like, much to her credit. Because a lot of our relationship, mine and Amy's, you learn about how the other person expresses their feelings, how sensitive the other person can be. And I'm, like, really sensitive, and my ego is really fragile, and she's very open to when I say, like, hey, this makes me feel bad, or this makes me feel less than.
And I learned in Savannah, Like, Amy is hungry. You feed Amy.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
there was a point where we were sitting there, and I'm gonna make fun of them. Marie and Donovan were
Yeah.
piddling about on their phone, and Amy turned to me and said, "I need to eat right now."
Yeah.
And I literally went, "Let's go. Let's get on the move."
Yes. Amy is little tiny the two nicknames that I have consistently given her are Tiny Tornado and Baby Wolverine. And because she is
CP t-shirts, man. I love it.
she is a small person, and she is this force of nature with her feelings, and that could be love and generosity. This tornado of love and generosity, or if she's hungry, her mood can change really quickly.
It was just, I wish I had a camera on it because it was just the turn and like lean forward of just like, I need to eat.
Yeah, it's sort of like Michael Myers setting up.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think it was like I was actually on my phone trying to find something.
Yep.
And kind of not getting frustrated with Aaron and Marie, but just kind of like, man, you motherfucker, let's get serious about this. Because I, much like Amy, or let me rephrase that. I, large man needing 4,700 calories a day, also can get giant Wolverine.
Yes.
Of like, I need to eat.
Yes.
Like, and it was the same thing. Like, there was a pizza place. I can't remember if we told you about this. There's a pizza place we had kept hearing about, and we had passed, and it was like, that place looks cool.
Yes,
and we
I
went to
remember.
it, and there was a line,
Oh, yeah.
and it closed in like 45 minutes. And I think I turned to Amy and was like, I can't do that to you. We turned around
Good
and went
move.
another way.
Good move. Good move.
And because we had passed another pizza place that was kind of empty, that also looked good.
Right.
And I was just like, I clocked it when we passed by. I was like, how about, she was like, I think she said something like, what are we going to do? I was like, we're going to go back to that other pizza place. What we're going to do. I was like, let's go. And I looked at Aaron and Marie. I was like, hey, let's go. Let's go.
Nice move.
Yeah.
Yes, I know Amy appreciated it. Yes.
But
little baby
but yes,
Wolverine.
I know Amy's awesome, so I don't ask that question knowing the response. But okay, so in the beginning, she may have poked a little bit, just joking.
Yeah, she
Yes.
just thought she was being funny.
Yeah.
And it would be, I forget the conversation exactly, but I had made a joke, particularly discouraging day at refill, and I had made self-deprecating joke about how can't count on the salary anymore, kind of thing like that. And so I started it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make fun of this, and Amy added in something like, like Lord knows we didn't make any money today. I'm like, oh, Amy, that makes me feel really bad.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I thought we were just joking. Like, I can't explain it, but like that makes me feel really bad.
You went from self-deprecating to feeling guilty.
Yeah, that's a good way to interpret. She was like, she noted it and didn't do and like didn't joke like that again. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate that because like I am so since I've been called sensitive since I was a little child, and I am potentially not growing out of it. Like I'm just
That's fine.
my feelings get hurt so easily, and my ego is so fragile. And Amy's a wonderful partner in that I can tell her that. And some people just make fun of you, like, oh, you're so weak. Oh, like be a man. Like it's just like, okay, I'll stop saying that. Like, thank you. Yeah, thank you. This makes me feel sad. And the technical last day that I was an employee of Scripps, like turned in I had turned in a badge, a credit card, and a laptop charger, and I think I was done.
Okay.
And I came home, and I have a history of heartburn and acid reflux, and so I got heartburn. Like I didn't feel like I could do anything. Like it hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And I was double dosing. I'm supposed to take a pill a day.
Yeah.
I took like 2 or 3, and I was taking Tums, and I was trying these tricks of eating saltine crackers or drinking sparkling water, and like nothing was working, and it hurt so bad. I couldn't, and I technically had the day off. I didn't have anything to do for refill, and I was no longer an employee at Scripps. So I thought, I'll just get to watch TV all day. How wonderful. 'Cause I love watching TV. And I couldn't even enjoy TV because it hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine that was just like how my body was dealing with that stress.
Like a crazy anxiety attack.
Yeah, that I didn't necessarily feel afraid, but like this thing, it just hurt so bad. And even spread into the next 2 days where it got milder and milder, but I think that was maybe I'd been suppressing a fear or but it was like, yeah, my body was just catching up to me. Like, oh no, this is scary. Like you don't really know how to run this business, but now this is your full-time job to figure out how to run this business.
I know I'm going to leap forward, but we can always go backwards. And do you feel like now, this many years in, that you have less days where you feel anxious or scared and more like, I'm doing this?
I feel some level of scared every day.
Yeah.
It's not as consuming as it used to be.
Yeah.
And now I have the confidence of I do know how to do the job.
Yeah.
The anxiety is we're serving coffee somewhere different almost every day. And I'll have some fear of, will we get there on time? Will it be easy to load the equipment in? Will our host help us like get in?
Will I have packed the correct amount of supplies?
Oh goodness, yeah.
As someone who's worked for Refill.
Oh goodness, yeah. Will I have remembered to bring everything, and can we get up and running before those first people start coming to get coffee? And like I'm always a little afraid of that. But now there are also like triumphant feelings that were not there 6 years ago of on the days where I get to sit down at the desk and I work out the calendar and I see how many opportunities we have to work in a given month or new clients or new potential partnerships. That feels so triumphant of like we did this. I got to work with people that I have genuine love for, doing a thing that I enjoy, and like we did it, and we're actively doing it.
Yeah.
And it was started from not nothing, but definitely a very like, ooh, I hope this makes money, to like, hey, we're making money on this thing. And but I have the high and the low every day, sometimes multiple times a day.
There's do you know Christopher Titus,
comedian? He had a show on Fox way back when. Yeah.
He said, I'm trying to see if I can pull this quote. It's a very short quote, but it's pretty good, where it's like, sometimes being scared of how the fucking rent's going to get paid is how the fucking rent gets paid. And I think about that a lot, or I thought about that a lot, and working for myself for 5.5 years.
Yeah.
That we've talked about a lot of like, hell, God, this is about you, but I don't know if I ever shared this, or maybe I did, but it was when I got laid off and I had the severance. There were I'm sure I have, but this also been like 6, almost 7 years,
Right.
that I'd shared this.
Right.
In that, before my final day, I had 2 opportunities. There was a PR firm that guy was going to give me all this work.
Okay.
I should name him because he's a pile of shit. And the last time I saw him, he had a look on his face like he is going to punch me.
Like you were going to punch
Like he
him.
literally like braced when I saw him.
Jeez.
Yeah. He was a dickhead. But he kept, like, I had like 3 meetings with him about all this work he was going to give me.
Okay.
It's like, cool, well, I have that work.
Yes.
So I don't need to stress.
Yes.
Plus, I have severance money. So I don't need to stress. And then there was another project I was working on that was a longer tail project where it was essentially somebody owned the copyright of something. You kind of remember this?
I do.
And we were going to work on it together, and we were going to be equal partners.
I do.
And
yes.
I was going to do all the marketing and all that, and it was going to be like, oh, this will be like passive income almost. It'll be income that's just routinely every month. The advertising and all that from this will make money because
Yes.
she's going to do the sales and shit for it. I just have to do like the marketing and stuff.
Yes.
So this will just be a little nut that'll gradually go up. So it was like for the first 4 or 5 or 6 months, that's all I worked on
Mm-hmm.
because I thought I was good.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I noticed my severance pay was starting to get lower and lower.
Right.
And then finally, I was like, holy fuck. And both of those, I finally gave up on the PR guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would,
You just never heard from him?
he just stopped responding.
Sorry.
And then I would look for work, but it was kind of weird. Like I ended up having a lot more stuff that was like, oh, these are friends of mine. I'm going to just do some work for them and make a little bit of money. Sometimes not make any money, but just help them out.
Yes.
And because I had money in the bank and because I wanted more, and I had this other job. And then that lady and it was a weird break, and it does not make sense. And that's fine. And I had even her real job, I was going to do work for them, and she kept lowering how much I was going to make off of that.
Ouch.
And another opportunity she had through the business type that she had to where I could make money selling to those people. And same thing, the amount of money kept going down and down.
Mm-hmm.
But then that ended, and I was like, holy fuck. I was standing like in the middle of nowhere like, oh shit, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And
scary.
I reached out. I had reached out like 2 or 3 months before that. I had done a takeover of Visit Knoxville's account.
I think I remember that.
Yeah,
Did you
Aaron
go to-
Donovan.
Did you go
it's-
to Borderland Teas? Was that one of your stops? Was that you?
Probably. But Aaron
Yeah.
Donovan, well, I did, well, that may have came later.
Okay.
But it was like Aaron Donovan, I can't remember if I pitched her or she pitched me of just like a day in the life. So I did that, and I like started at Seven Islands State Birding Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did all this stuff throughout the day.
Yeah.
And then I highlighted certain people in town, like the Happy Envelope,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember taking photos of those people throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I posted those later on my own account. But Magpies,
Good old Magpies.
Peggy. And then this was like 2 or 3 months before the bottom fell out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just reached out to Aaron Donovan. I was like, hey, do you ever need help with this? Because I need work.
Yes.
And so she and I had lunch, and she was like, yeah, I'm going to hire you for 6 months.
Okay.
She was like, I do all this stuff during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, but you do all this weird shit at night, like going to shows and stuff that most people don't see in our feed
Uh-huh.
and don't know about. So
Yeah, it's a good point.
I want to hire you for all this outsider stuff
Cool.
because you do that kind of shit and you know a lot of things I don't know.
You're nocturnal.
Well, and so I did that, and then I kept getting rehired by Visit. And also that's why I think the Borderland Tea, because there was one point where I did like here's last minute Christmas gifts
Okay.
to where I did that like beginning of December, and I highlighted. I took like I think a day and highlighted like 10 different places.
Mm-hmm.
That may have been where I highlighted Borderland Teas. I think I highlighted them a lot because Jenny and Bob are the absolute best.
They're wonderful.
So I think but it was trying to figure out how the fucking mortgage got paid is how the fucking mortgage got paid.
Right.
And it started with hitting up Aaron Donovan and being just, even though I slagged on her before, that's what really kind of propelled to and then slowly I started getting more work. I started bidding on more shit, but it was really being like, oh shit, I don't have any money. And these other people are just idiots that have kind of, I don't want to say held me back, but just kind of, I focused so much time and effort on them
Right.
that I let other things go away.
Right.
So,
Yeah. It's
but
scary.
yeah, the fear of being your own boss, it's because I know I've told you this, that I ran into somebody that I knew that had, air quotes, owned their own business.
Okay.
And they said to me, isn't it, they were like, oh, wait, you own your own business? Like, yeah, for like 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't it the best? It's like, some days. And they literally did not understand and walked away from me.
Yeah.
I was like, you're an idiot. Like, you're an idiot. Some days it is amazing.
Uh-huh.
Some days it sucks.
Uh-huh.
It's awful. Because I remember it wasn't the peak, but I remember one of the best days is same thing. I met Aaron Donovan and George Middlebrooks when Frusty's truck opened up.
Yeah.
And we sat on the stoop it was like the first warm day of spring and ate sandwiches. And I was like, this is the shit.
That's the dream.
This is the shit.
Yeah.
I get to do this. Yes, I've got work to do, but I'm going to take 2 hours and enjoy the sun.
Right.
And it was glorious. Or
Yeah.
all the times you and I had marketing meetings
Yeah.
on a random Tuesday.
Yeah. Those little moments are wonderful.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah.
But sometimes the fear has to take hold and you have to. So
Yes.
you're starting out, you're doing it full time on your own.
Yes.
And did you kind of fall into a rhythm where it was like you just did it just to do it and you weren't thinking about things? Like kind of like time to make the donuts kind of thing?
It got that way in 2018 and 2019. The bulk of our work was Monday through Friday mornings. We would go to the same offices. So every Monday we're at the same office. Every Tuesday we're at Office B. Every Wednesday we're at Office C. And that got to be a routine. I knew exactly when I needed to wake up, when I needed to leave the house, when I needed to get to the kitchen, and over and over and over. And I could pretty well predict a significant portion of the people that would come by and order drinks and what drinks they would order and how much money I could expect for refill to make that day. And that I was able to turn off the fear for most of the time on those days. 'Cause you do the same thing for 100 weeks, you start feeling pretty comfortable with it. And then with 2020 shutting down all of those offices, the offices are sending people home. They're not allowing in outside vendors. Then we had to figure out a whole new routine, which opened me up to feel all kinds of new fears and anxieties. Yeah. So I refreshed my fear and anxiety after a couple of years. But those Monday through Friday offices for the time that we did that from late 2017 to like March 2020, I'm very grateful for them and the consistent opportunity that they afforded refill, for the regulars that helped me build confidence that I can make good drinks while providing good customer service. And we even hired some part-time people that would come take shifts at those places too. And
That one big bearded dude is such a...
I
calling some
disagree.
kid basic.
I disagree. He didn't know that basic in that context was insulting. He didn't know. Yeah.
Someone named Adam Kennedy schooled me.
I just let it, but I did it quietly when nobody was around. And like,
Where you literally just went, stop saying I was like, what? And you're like, that's a bad thing. I was like,
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's a little insulting. But I think, I really think, because you're saying it to like high school kids.
I was saying it. I was picking on a high school kid,
and
high
so,
school boy
and so
who was around other high school boys.
yes. So I think they took it lighthearted.
Yes.
But I just wanted you to know, just like, hey, just filling you in.
I was
insulting.
So we were working a football game.
Yeah,
A
high school
football game. I think it's Jefferson City,
Jefferson County. Yeah.
And it was the fall, and one of the drinks was a pumpkin spice latte, I think.
Yes.
And there were some kid that came up and he wanted a pump. I was like, "You basic! Look at you, you basic!" Like that. And I did it like to 4 different kids, and finally
You did?
you're like, "Dude!"
Like, do you know?
I was like,
that
"No,
is-
I didn't."
That is a negative connotation.
Or I think the worst thing I said, "Oh, you getting that for your girlfriend?"
you didn't
I don't
know.
know. Hey,
your
in my
heart was in the right place.
No, it wasn't. Because in my defense, I grew up around my dad and uncles who picked on me mercilessly,
Well-
and that's how they showed love and joy.
That's what I mean.
affection.
Like you just thought it was just like fun.
We're all just having a good
tit
time.
for tat. You give me an insult, I give you one back. Like, oh man, you're cool, and then you go on and you enjoy your drink. Like,
Yeah.
You didn't mean it as like, oh, I want to embarrass.
Yeah, you're a girl. You're a girl.
And I don't think they felt that way. But to be repetitive, I just did want you to know it has a negative connotation.
Oh my God. Okay. We kind of glossed a little bit. So I'm going to go back. So when you're doing the office, I'm going to call it the office days.
Okay.
Were you all doing weddings at that point?
Very sparingly. That it took that business 3 years before before I really perceived we were getting known by some venues who venues then started recommending us. Whereas those first weddings, I think we did in like 2018 might have been the first.
Okay.
We might have done one wedding in 2018.
Yeah.
And then 2019 we might have done 3. And when the venue managers and wedding planners saw us on those days, the feedback was mostly things like, I didn't know this existed.
Right.
Kind of thing. But how we got booked for the first wedding, we did a wedding show at the Candoro Marble building where they wanted to start booking up that venue for weddings, and they invited vendors for no charge. Hey, if you want to work in the wedding industry, you come here, you set up from this time to this time. And we met a couple. We were just giving away drinks for free. And they booked us. I don't know if it was on the spot or maybe like the next day. They were like, yeah, you're hired. And so thanks to Candoro Marble and the person that was running it moved away, but she has a wonderful name. Seems like her first name is Marvel. I can't think of her last name, but she let us come let us come be part of this for free. She'd never seen us. She never heard of us. I was sending out emails to wedding planners and venues that were public. It's like, here's what we are. I would love to prove that we're a worthy partner. And she wrote back super quick, like, hey, we're doing this show. It was just like a week or two away. She's like, if you want to come on. Like,
and even before the office gigs, you all were setting up in public a lot because the food truck park had just opened up.
Yeah.
And McKay's. I remember the McKay's days.
Set up at McKay's. Yeah.
Yeah. Set up in public. And then it came a little bit later. I think you all were already doing offices at this point, but the Fountain City Park ones.
Yeah. Fountain City Park came about.
So the funniest thing is, what I remember is the food truck park in McKay's, it was unbearably cold. And then the Fountain City Park, it was unbearably hot. There was no in between.
Just brutally hot.
So as you all are building and growing and learning,
yes,
there was a point that you all decided not to set up in public anymore. For the most part.
Yeah.
You have rare occasions where you set up in public, but it's
really rare. Yeah. Like I think in 2022 we maybe were in public 4 times, maybe.
So what was the thought process on pulling back on that so much?
Part of it was the office stops were doing well enough where we didn't need to figure out, where we're like, okay, we can serve 5 days a week and we can make enough money to justify continuing this. Like we don't need to serve 10 times a week.
Right.
And so we could focus on office stuff. And then when the lockdown orders and safer at home hit in 2020, and we were very uncertain of, is it safe for us to work in public? Are we making it worse by going out in public when people are getting sick? And so we just decided we're going to say no to everything for a time period unless it's a small private setup. Mm-hmm. And that started because of an abundance of caution. Like I don't want to be the reason somebody gets sick, and I don't want to get sick myself. And so we're only going to say yes to small private functions. And June of 2020 is when we started going back out and accepting jobs. And we're very fortunate that little niche for business kept growing. And now we have enough jobs all in small private functions where that is our business. We went from being primarily a vendor where you're going to set up and you're going to sell individual drinks and you hope you'll make some money. There's no way of telling what the audience will be here, to now we're primarily a caterer.
Yeah.
Like, you hire us, we come prepared to serve an agreed upon amount of people and drinks, and then we're paid by the host. So like, individual customers do not have to pay for a drink. So like, the host pays for all their attendees to have a drink.
Was there one kind of catering job during the pandemic that maybe grew from one person at one location who then moved to another location and that kept growing to where it became a bigger niche of your business? Maybe there were little kids running around in these spaces?
Schools. We
was that leading enough?
yeah.
For you?
I could tell by your hand gestures, like, this is another one that I should know where we're going. So schools started I think it was 2019.
Oh, okay.
Was the very first time I got hired by a school. We got hired by A.L. Lotz Elementary by Miss Castleman, who was the vice principal at A.L. Lotz at that time. And I've told Miss Castleman multiple times since I've seen her that I'm very grateful to her, because she changed a very significant portion of our business, in that we got a job with Miss Castleman at A.L. Lotz, and then we posted about it on our Facebook and Instagram page, truly meant as a thank you, because this was the first school that had ever done this. And we were grateful just to show that, like, we can come work in a busy environment and serve these teachers and staff quickly and efficiently that doesn't disrupt their day. And we're small enough that you can just kind of tuck us away like in a break room, and we will not disrupt any of your schedule for the day, kind of thing. And so, like, thank you, Al. Lots to put out there. And then we got messages from maybe 5 schools after that, like, hey, could you come do it here? And how do you do it? And that also went away when the lockdown orders came from the CDC, because all those schools go virtual. But as schools started coming back in person, and we started getting questions from schools about, like, hey, are y'all still open? And is there a way we could do this? Because I can't even imagine how much of a stressful time that is for teachers, administrators, the people running, like, the environmental services of the school.
Yeah.
Where you're, which wasn't an easy job to begin with, and now it's just exponentially more stress and pressure on you. And we found that yes, we can still do this safely, because it only takes 1 or 2 people to run Refill Coffee Cart at a time. We're not bringing a crew of people. We can operate indoors or outdoors. If there's a way you can isolate us indoors, great. If not, just give us an electrical outlet outside and we can do it. We don't physically touch any of the ingredients. We're still wearing gloves. We're still sanitizing. We're still regulated just like a food truck, but you don't have to worry about a lot of contamination issues from what's on my hands. And we're wearing masks. We even, Chad, one of our teammates, built a shield to go on the front of the cart. So now there was like a barrier between anyone ordering and anyone serving drinks.
And because you're catering, you're not taking money or credit cards.
We're not touching anything.
Nope.
Anything we have touched has been clean and sanitized in a kitchen that the health department inspects regularly. Yeah. And we even figured out ways we could do pre-orders.
Oh, yeah.
So teachers don't even need to come stand in line. Oh, it's just you fill out a form, tell us what you want and what time you want to pick it up, and like, hey, 8:15, your coffee's ready. It's sitting here.
Forgot about that. My OCD ass, for anybody listening at home, I was the king of the sheets. To where I was like, all right, here we go. I've got these 3 frozen drinks. They're the same drink that are going at the same time. All right, let's make them same time because you can bulk make. And I was so anal
You're very helpful.
about like, let's do this, let's do this. Here, I'm gonna throw you in an ice drink every once in a while just to make something easy.
Yeah, because ice is the fastest.
Ice is
So yeah, hot's the slowest, and so if we had like 2 or 3 hot ones, like okay,
especially in some locations for anybody at home where we would set up outside, and it was there was. I can think of 2 places where it was below freezing. The one out in West Knoxville, and then the one that it was. I can only remember it by the 2 schools that merged.
Dill Springs? No, we were in short. Well, we were in short sleeves in Dill Springs.
It was cold.
Yeah.
I remember it was cold.
I mean,
it was harder to get the milk and everything up to temp at those locations.
To your point is correct. I'm splitting hairs.
Maybe it wasn't below freezing, but it was. We were in the shade, and it was hard to get shit warmed up.
Yeah,
so it was like
because your milk is like 39 degrees, and we serve our hot drinks at about 140. 39 to 140 is a big gap, especially when it's like 38 degrees outside kind of thing.
Hell, that Cedar Bluff school, it was below, and we were in the shade, and because it was cold, everyone wanted a hot drink. It was just, and I think there may have even been an issue with one of your burners. There was something that screwed up.
Like the wind kept blowing it out, the flame out, probably.
But there was also another problem, like you were actually having problems with one and you had to get a new one. Yeah. And it took like 10 minutes to get it up and ready. Yeah. And it was like, can we pause for like 10 minutes?
Yeah. 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 And
but a lot of those schools, the reason why they came around during the pandemic was because
we could prove that we could still provide a treat safely. And Jody's giving me the answer that I should already know. What is that? Got it. Yes. Got it.
Okay. Anybody listening at home?
Yes.
All of the Ramblemans for like the last 50 episodes have been so structured and organized. Welcome to the shit show that this used to be. And thank you for listening. At least nothing else. You're going to have fun. I wish this was video because this is the dumbest.
Jody was trying to tee me up to mention that parent-teacher organizations, so the PTO at schools, who the PTO puts a lot of effort into making the teachers feel appreciated and seen. And a lot of times that's done through like meals and treats they can have throughout the day. But when you're worried about viruses and germs, that eliminates all your possibilities. Yeah. And that was how we were able to build back up our schedule once it felt more safe to be out in public, is we showed one PTO, we can do this without causing a crowd of people in a small room, and we can do it efficiently, and we can get out, and we have a lot of checks in place to make sure that this stuff is clean and sanitized.
And they also wanted to give back because the teachers were so, there's another word I want to use, but I can't find it right now, like put upon, about like how much extra work they were having to do.
Yeah, and they were getting, without a lot of notice, sometimes it would be like, okay, tomorrow, like, tomorrow's virtual. Like, okay, today's in person. And that changes the whole dynamic of your lesson plan. And
what I learned from my friend who's the teacher up at Fulton is, there's a lot of kids in poverty that don't have setups at home to do Zoom. Yeah. So they're going to have to come into school no matter what. Yeah. And they're also, their parents can't stay home and watch them because their parents have to work the fucking mortgage needs to get paid, and that's how you pay the fucking mortgage. Like,
and that type of stress, I swear, is contagious.
Yeah.
When kids, parents, guardians, teachers, staff are all feeling it, there's not a precedent for like, we'll just do XYZ and make it all better. You're trying on the fly every day to make this bearable, and we put in effort, still do, to make our prices reasonable, so that schools and PTOs do not have to blow out their whole budget to get refill coffee cart to come to your school. Because while we are trying to make money, and I am making a living off of this. And at the same time, I appreciate that's a tough job, and that job is really needed. And so I don't want money to always be a barrier to that. And I also think that the PTOs and schools recognize that too, that we're not trying to get every nickel and dime they have. It's like, well, we can do it for this. And some schools would come back and be like, well, your proposal A won't quite work. And so we come back with, well, how about this proposal B? Could this be done, and could this still be fun?
You're also very fair, and it's like, you all didn't use the allotted drinks that we had said, so we're not going to charge you that full amount.
Give you a break.
Yeah.
Like there are occasions where, hey, if you tell us that we need to be prepared to make, I'm going to be deliberately facetious here. If you tell us we need to prepare to make 1 million drinks, then like the invoice is going to reflect 1 million drinks, because that's a whole lot of prep, and it's a whole lot of things that we bought that are perishable. But if a school hires us and they say we have 100 staff, we need you to be prepared to make 100 drinks, and we show up there and we make 75 drinks, Refill is not going to charge you for 100 drinks. Like we're busy enough, and our business is fortunate to work well enough. It will not ruin our day if we give you a break. And for groups like teachers and staff, y'all earned it.
Yeah.
Like you earned a break. Like if we give it away for free, that'd be cool too. We can't. We're gonna need to make some money off of this. But if we can shave off some dollars and it's still a profitable day for Refill, a happy day for teachers and staff, and we can save some people some money, that feels like a nice win all the way around.
Yeah.
And like I want people to trust us that this is a business. We are trying to make money, but we also have empathy, and we will work with you.
Well, and it was also amazing to me, like, even though the teachers knew we were getting paid, we weren't doing this for free. Sorry, I'm saying we, but I'm talking to the plate. I also worked a lot of schools.
You were very important to what we were trying to do.
Probably like a 2-year period where it was a lot of weddings, a lot of schools.
Yeah.
And but even though those teachers knew that, can't tell you how many teachers still tipped.
And we didn't even put out a tip jar.
No, and some of them, it was like $5. I remember at least a few times where it was like a $20 bill.
Yeah.
They didn't have to.
And again, we do not have a tip jar.
No.
They're just saying, this is yours. Like, this is for you. And our first reaction is like, you do not have to do that. We are taken care of. And and no one ever took their money back. Oh, okay, you're taken care of? So, nope, this is for you. And you could have easily gone to the Starbucks on your way for $20.
Yeah.
And gotten you whatever you wanted.
Whatever you wanted. Whatever kind of burnt, awful tasting coffee you wanted.
Ramble Man's brought to you by Starbucks.
Yeah, no, it's not. Although, if Howard Schultz wants to help support Ramble Man, I will happily take his money. His coffee still tastes burnt and like shit. But that's when I drink black coffee. I'm sure I've had plenty of sweet drinks at Starbucks that were fine, but it's just the black coffee taste.
Jody is powerfully gesturing.
No, I thought of another question. But
okay,
sorry.
I'll say the first place I ever had a pumpkin spice latte was at Starbucks.
Yeah,
and I'd never had a sweet latte before, and I was going to the UT South Carolina game during the Butch Jones era when UT upset South Carolina at home, and I got that pumpkin spice latte to walk to the stadium, and I get it. Okay, I get it. Yeah. Because before I would also order black coffee drink, like Americanos or drip coffee, and maybe if there was like cream and sugar sitting out, I'd put some in there. But I never had a specialty drink like that. And the first one I was like, oh, I get it. Like that's nice.
So what I was powerfully pointing at you about was, you kind of answered a little bit, but it was like, did working in this industry make you more of a coffee snob?
No. I was not snobbish about coffee before refill because I knew hardly anything about coffee.
Okay.
I just knew that I liked the idea of coffee. And now I know a lot more about coffee than I did. I understand a lot more about different flavors when it comes to the origin of the coffee, how it was roasted, how it mixes with the syrups and sauces we use. I know a whole lot more than I do now, where I can confidently make recommendations and answer questions when people ask stuff like, well, I want like the blondest thing you have. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
like we don't have a blonde, but let me tell you about what we do have kind of stuff. But I'm not snobby. I can find something I like anywhere coffee is available. The one exception where I did not finish the coffee is Amy's parents had brought us back some hotel room coffee from one of their vacations.
Yeah.
And I made it was like a single cup, and I made a cup of it, and I probably ended up putting about 1.5 inches worth of honey in it. And it was
Still didn't help.
it was still just so tasted like dirt, like, and so I poured it out. And but I get why Starbucks is the target of a lot of jokes, whether it be from, there are a lot of people that thinks that their coffee is too dark, too bitter. There are people that joke about how expensive their drinks are. There are people that joke about the amount of time people will dedicate to waiting in line at Starbucks. And I can wrap my head around all that. But at the same time, if I really wanted coffee and Starbucks was nearby, I'd go if there's not a local option. But one
That's
of
the key.
also, I was saying, like, one of like so many happy memories walking to our neighborhood coffee shops. Also, like, simple joy of my life is going to new locally owned coffee shops. Like you and I in particular. Sorry, I set your microphone. Like, we've driven probably over an hour before for the main goal of going to a coffee shop.
We drove 100 miles.
Yeah,
To Johnson City.
That's right. Yeah. Now, we didn't just go to a coffee. Like, we packed in more, but the first two agenda items were, hey, these two coffee shops, let's go try them.
So I swear to God, I was going to try to never do that again. And you can
But-
blame my friend Erica. She posted a place in Athens, Tennessee that I need to try.
Hey, that's where I was telling you about my friend Dave Pillman.
Hey, we can have coffee with him.
Go down there, hang out with Dave.
Yes.
He would try and drink a hot chocolate. He's not a coffee guy.
Okay.
But we could go have a delightful conversation about comic books and pro wrestling.
Thank God
Yeah.
that there is a reason. The one I will not give you is there was one that she also went to. She's my friend who lives in Lenore City,
Okay.
who that we was possibly going to meet us at that Lenore City coffee shop that looked like a bank. That it was an old bank.
Riverside?
Yeah. So
Where-
my friend
yep.
Erica, which I think you've met before because of AIGA.
Gotcha.
Blonde lady, awesome person, really likes to pick on me, which is hilarious because she's this tiny lady.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, she threatened to kick my ass if I didn't do something by the time next time I had lunch with
Okay.
her. I've not had lunch with her since
Ooh,
then.
you're in trouble.
I still have not done that thing. and
Watch your
she
back.
She will hurt me. But she went to a place in Athens, and then she went to a place right on the damn near on the Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia border. I'm not going to make you go to that one. That one I will probably go to on my own at some point.
Let's not cross it off the list
Okay.
entirely.
I did go to a place over in North Carolina that I think I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, I may take you back, but if I take you back to that one, I would almost like Amy to join us.
Okay.
Because there's a place in North Carolina I want to take you all to that's like, their specialty is like monkey bread. And
Oh,
it is so
love
the
monkey bread.
best. Like, it's a bakery that I went to and I was like, holy shit. Like, this
Yeah.
is, but I looked at it, it was like, but I will tell you this, driving from Knoxville to go to that coffee shop, which you know the town because I think you and Amy went to that town. Because I think I told you after I went to that one, I was coming back from Greenville, South Carolina, that you're like, oh, I know that town because Amy and I went to a cabin in that town.
Gotcha. In
It's
North
not-
Carolina?
Yeah, it's not Waynesville, but it's one of those in that kind of area.
Yeah, where it's not the typical Charlotte, Asheville,
No.
Raleigh. Yeah.
But that place,
Murphy?
I think Murphy is where the monkey bread place
Okay.
is.
Because it just popped in my head. We did stay in a little tiny like Airbnb in Murphy, North Carolina.
Let's see. No, it's Waynesville.
Okay. It is
It's called
Waynesville.
Orchard Coffee
Okay.
in Waynesville. But Murphy, Waynesville, Asheville, because one of my favorite donut shops is in Asheville that you all haven't been to.
Duncan.
Spoiler alert. But I looked at it and it was like Knoxville to hit all of those and back to Knoxville was going to be like 4.5 hours. And at first I was like, that's a lot of time. I was like, no, it's not. It's like 2 hours to go to Asheville. What the hell am I thinking? It's like 30 minutes more. But I was like, man, that is one that I would actually like to get do like a Savannah Bananas group, maybe get like 2 cars and say, here's the 3 places I want us to hit. Now, we can hang out in Asheville during the day
Yeah.
and just have like a Saturday in the spring.
That'd be fun.
Would be
That'd be great.
awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one on the border of North Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee, I was like, maybe not, but maybe that may be a.
Hey,
we'll have to figure out something. Here.
I'm open to road
But
trips.
the Athens one, that one I think is also in Old Bank, and it looked really cool.
Like Commonplace out there on Chapman Highway
Yeah.
is like the old, which I think that's cool. You can go sit in the vault,
Yeah,
have a drink. Like I love a gimmick. The pro wrestling lover in me loves a gimmick of a place. But yeah, just like coffee shops. There's not a lot of places you go into where it's expected to be calm and serene.
yeah.
And I think that's kind of cool that you can usually trust a coffee shop to be mellow and laid back, and you can sit there and not feel super rushed. And having a drink with nowhere to go is one of my favorite feelings. Like just being able to just sit there as long as I want to and just enjoy this drink is such a nice feeling. Yeah, that's if I could figure out how to have that every day, that would be great. And I say that as the guy that makes the schedule for my job. So
Yeah, but you're also your own boss, and your boss is a real bastard.
I am the worst boss I've ever had.
The one thing that you can pick on me for, because we've already had this conversation, that is my begging of coffee shop workers.
Yes.
If someone walks up to you and says, what is your favorite drink? Or I would like something hot and sweet. Is there anything special you can make? Please stop suggesting a mocha latte. Drives me bonkers. Drives me because I can't take to where I stopped asking. And I just started I was like, do you have a seasonal drink? No, I guess I'll take a mocha latte.
Okay.
Because that's what you're going to suggest to me.
Okay.
Because God forbid you have the capacity of thought of saying, I don't know why that bothers me so much. It's the same thing when I go to a cigar shop in a place that's like, do you have anything that's regional or local? Something that I can only get here. That's what I probably should start saying to them. It's like, is there something you specialize?
Yeah.
Please don't suggest a mocha latte.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to cause problems. I would just like something that you all do specially.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good way to approach it, because some of my favorite aspects of when coffee shops actually have like a specials menu, because as we've already taken note of, I like black coffee. I like a latte. I like a cappuccino. But hey, if you got like a little menu up by your register, what was that? The Babette's that we went to in Johnson City. They had the Coyote, where it was something in like cayenne, and like, well, I want that.
Dude, I posted pictures, but it was on this recent trip to Florida. Like one of the places had a horchata latte that was rimmed
Lovely.
with cinnamon sugar.
Give it to me.
And it was their seasonal drink. And I was just like, all day long. I'm
Yeah.
going to have that
I
all
want
day
that.
long.
Yep.
I don't want a mocha latte. I want that because that's crazy.
Uh-huh.
But then I was at like one of the other places. I just got a regular cappuccino.
Yep.
And one they had a caramel latte, which it's kind of odd to see a caramel latte at a nicer coffee shop for whatever reason. You see mocha.
Uh-huh.
But it's just, I think a lot of coffee shops are such coffee snobs
Maybe.
that they don't want to put any specialty latte. I was like, no, but I like the sweet, cool ones. Like, I would usually go up to people and say, I want something hot. I want something sweet.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
is that? Oh, you want a mocha latte? I don't want a mocha latte.
The approach when we've had new people on the team, and I am trying to share with them, like, here's how I try to approach customer questions like that, or scenarios that people ordering give us, is that think of like the best bartender you ever ran into.
Yeah.
Because at the bar, they probably have several things on tap. They probably have liquors on the shelves. And there's probably things down like sort of below their waist level on those shelves that they can use too. And in my mind, the best bartenders have always given me a range of things. Like, well, the here's 3 options for you.
You're
or,
the nail on the head, man, with this.
Or as I've shared this with Amy, because when I first met Amy, Amy didn't enjoy going to bars and didn't find
Now she's a lush, and she's been in recovery for
and didn't find the fun in hanging out in bars very much. And one of her reasons for that was she said, well, I don't know what to get, because she hadn't tried a lot of alcoholic drinks. She hadn't tried hardly any cocktails. And so like, yeah, like what do I get? And I shared with her, if we get a good bartender, you can say, similar to what your anecdote was, I like fruity, sweet, low alcohol burn kind of thing. And like a good bartender will be like, oh, you may get some that they just make you a drink and here you go, or you'll get some, they'll kind of give you a range. And that's what I want us at Refill to do. I want to be able to give you a range and not tell you everything on the menu, but here's an idea because here's my rationale, and here's another idea because of my rationale.
Yeah.
And one of the best things that it wasn't our idea, we copied it from someone else who's doing a really nice job with coffee, is our menu has pictures. Because learn pretty quick, not everybody that enjoys drinking coffee knows the definitions to all these what is an Americano. That word doesn't really tell you anything. And a latte is not English. So if you primarily speak English and you're not familiar with Italian, that doesn't help you at all either. So we put pictures on the menu so some people can feel more comfortable and just say with their index finger, I want that drink right there. Right. And like, oh, that's a turtle frappuccino. That's got chocolate caramel hazelnut that we blend together with milk and
the amount
coffee.
of people I've seen get excited about the coffee they're about to get based on those photos,
which is
crazy.
Which feels really good.
Yeah.
And that's what we were trying to do. Make it approachable and make you not perceive that you have to know the secret password to get a cup of coffee.
Like pour over or French press or any of that shit.
But because there are reasons for those techniques, and those techniques can make coffee taste different. But if that's not how you enjoy coffee, you should not feel excluded when you come to Refill. You should, like, heaven forbid, you don't know all the secret words and you point at a drink and I like scoff at you and make you feel foolish for this. It's like, no, like this should be like really easy. Just like when you go to some great fast food restaurants, pictures sell you on the thing.
Yeah.
And like it's not just I, it's we. It needs to be like approachable and easy.
Yeah.
And fun is nice too.
Yeah.
Like some people do get a kick out of seeing all the syrups and sauces go in the blender and we're garnishing the cup, and we want it to look like a fun thing too. Now, you will also be pleasantly surprised by the dose of powerful caffeine that's in it. But like, you'll also enjoy the presentation of the drink. Like, looks
My
count.
favorite part is getting fake angry at people who don't want whipped cream. 'Cause for anyone listening at home, Adam does all the heavy lifting. I put on the whipped cream and the garnish on top, and you will be like, "Oh, do you like whipped cream?" No. It's like, why am I even here, man? What am I even doing here, man? They're just paying me for nothing.
You're trying to eliminate my job.
Yeah.
This person's trying to get me laid off. How dare you?
I can't tell you how many times Adam knows this where I've handed a piece. Well, I guess this coffee's okay. It would have been so much better without with I try not to do that too much.
Yeah.
But there are certain people I can tell are just like
back to like approaching people that are famous. You read the room.
Yeah.
You read the contact. Yeah. You can. You serve enough people, you start getting pretty accurate with who feels like talking, who feels like joking around, and who does not.
Yeah.
And you did a nice job of like picking your spots of like, oh, this person's open to joking around. Let's joke around. Like,
yeah. Why am I even here?
yeah. Like, just
I guess I'll go cry.
guess you don't believe in a man trying to earn an honest living. My dad sweat in the whipped cream mines of Lower Kentucky.
Yeah.
So you people could get a caramel frappuccino with whipped cream on it.
Yeah.
My
And you're gonna hold him back.
My granddaddy died in the whipped cream flood of 52. Like, yeah.
Oh God.
Some more you can steal those.
Yeah.
If you need to. Yeah. steal those.
Update for anybody at home: the Eagles are beating the absolute dog shit out of the Giants.
Which is like we were talking off air that a fun storybook type of ending would have been a Giants and Buffalo Bills Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the Bills winning, because one of the heartbreaking Super Bowls that the Buffalo Bills lost back in the 90s was to the Giants.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like that's going to happen if you're going to let Philadelphia score 21 points before the half.
Oh, man. I just noticed who's in the booth on this. Daryl Johnson, famous
Moose.
fullback from the Cowboys.
Yeah.
How happy is he right now?
Moose.
Although he hates the Eagles too, so
Yeah.
this is if they could both lose, it would be good. Lord, they are just whipping the dog shit out of. Oh my God, that dude's name wrapped around the front. Holy hell. So here's something to notice from a nerd level on these on NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they've changed the cameras to where now the lenses they're using, they have that bokeh effect.
What do you mean?
Bokeh is they just showed those fans in the crowd.
Yep.
You notice the people on the front row were heavily in focus and everything else was in out of focus.
Yes.
So that bokeh is good God.
Just swarming. Daniel Jones?
And when they even do it, they'll do it on the field in like pregame, and it looks like a video game. It's awesome.
Do you think that is that some?
It's a change in digital cameras and lenses.
And is this to make it read better in 4K?
No,
Or it's just an improvement of a
it's
traditional
just a different
broadcast?
style because. So here's some real nerdy shit. You'll notice when they're covering their entire field, everything is in focus.
Yes.
They do that because they don't know where the hell the ball is going, so everything needs to be in focus. So
Yes.
they're not having to constantly shift the focus.
Yes.
But when they're focusing, oh my God, we should have just done commentary for this game because it would just be us going, Jesus, they were whipping the hell out of it. See, even the fans are in focus there.
Yep.
They have to be because they don't know where something's going to happen that they may not be able to make that
I got it.
adjustment. Yeah. But that's a shift they've made in the last, like I would say, 3 years.
Yeah. Okay.
And the first time I actually noticed it was like pregame or postgame.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, holy shit, this feels like a video game. Like, it's awesome. I love it.
Even me not necessarily recognizing that,
Yeah.
I can't appreciate that the way that they broadcast I was going to say pro football, but even collegiate football is a bit of a masterpiece in live production.
Oh God, yeah.
Because one, it's a small army of people and equipment, and it's live.
There's
and,
a good example.
Okay, gotcha. And it is rather miraculous, the lack of errors, of following the wrong player,
Right.
of missing the big play, of missing where the ball goes. It is incredible.
Yeah.
And we see it multiple times a week, so maybe that's why I don't always appreciate how masterfully done it seems, but
Yeah.
it's quite the work of art.
Okay. Okay, we got back up to the pandemic.
Yeah.
So now I'll go into, as the lockdowns eased up, was there ever a consideration to go back to the office methodology? Or
No, we had...
and throughout all of this, for anybody at home also, I need to mention, I'm interviewing Adam. There's also 2 other people involved.
Yes.
But would I be wrong in saying Adam does 95% of the work?
Yes.
And that's no slight at the other 2 people.
No, they have other jobs.
This was the point from the beginning.
It was, yes. I wanted to do it all the time, and I wanted teammates that I could trust who had different skill sets than me to do the aspects of running a business that I'm not confident in my ability and or I don't want to do. Like balance the books and take care of taxes and do...
And build a screen for the
and
COVID time.
build and repair the machines and repair the company vehicle and handle interviews and resume reviews. Like, I'm not confident and I don't want to. And I'm grateful that I knew 2 people who I knew that they could do that stuff. And that's Chad Grinner and Amy Kennedy. And no, we did not think about going back to the offices. We had gotten so consistently busy doing caterings for small private groups that we could no longer dedicate a consistent day and time to an office. And some of the two of the offices came back to us in 2021 and asked, would you consider coming back? Is it possible? We have a smaller work staff here than we used to. Some people are still at home. And when we told them no, not because we don't want to, but because the schedule is busy now, but here's what we could offer you for catering. The office said, that's not what we want to pursue right now. In so many words, that's not what we want from you all right now. We're glad you're doing well. We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Like, thanks
No
for
harm,
not
no
being,
foul.
thanks for not being upset, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 2 more of the offices, one office closed. They closed the physical office at Whirlpool Corporation. We used to spend every Thursday morning at Whirlpool Corporation. They shut that whole building down and sent everybody home.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I still stay in touch with some friends I made there. And
I think the real Fred Daly still works out there.
the real Fred Daly.
I'm Fred Daly. Yes, I'm the Fred Daly. All the other Fred Dalys are soon imitators.
That's
Will the real Fred Daly please stand up?
That is offensive.
No, Eminem sucks. So sorry.
Eminem does not suck.
In hour 6 of this, we'll get into how awful Eminem is.
How dare you?
So the real Fred Daly is a guy who was a graphic designer that we worked together with at ADS Phoenix, and he ended up working in the Whirlpool call center to where I think he is like a manager or something.
Okay.
Real tall blonde guy, like almost as tall as me, glasses. He's an unbelievable comic book artist. Unbelievable.
I don't think I ever met him.
Okay.
But yeah, that office is sitting empty right now.
We called him the real Fred Daly because the real Slim Shady came out at the same time.
Yes.
That we got to know him. And Brian Carroll, I think is the name of the art director at ADS Phoenix, really liked to poke the bear.
Okay.
He called me Shank. He's like, well, you went to Fulton, so you're Shank. Like, that's Brian's sense of humor.
Okay.
So he was the one who called Fred Daly the real Fred Daly.
Okay.
He also was working on his car, underneath his car, and went to pull something like a pin out and shoved a pair of needle nose pliers into his eye and had to maybe drive himself to the hospital.
Oh my god!
So he had one.
Does he still have eyes?
He has one, but the other one's glass. And I have so many stories about him that are so unbelievably HR worthy and un-PC that I will not share on the microphone. But
Fair.
yeah, he called me Shank, and he called Fred Daly the real Fred Daly.
The real Fred Daly.
And every
Okay.
time he would walk in, the aforementioned Greg, who we
Yes.
talked about before we got on the podcast.
Yes.
Greg worked there too,
Okay.
and Fred Daly would walk in, he would immediately launch it. I'm Fred Daly. Yes, I'm the Fred Daly. You got Fred Daly.
Incredible.
We had a lot of fun at that agency.
Workplace environment.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yes.
Okay, so, and also the thing, I'm going to go back to the setting up in public. It's harder also to set up in public because a lot of those you have to. Sorry to put words in your mouth, but it's you also have to do it so far in advance with the location and promote the shit out of it
Yeah.
to where you could have a catering come on at that same time 2-3 weeks before that guarantees to pay 5 times as much as you would make on the off chance that you actually do good at the public location.
Well,
Although
and
I still want you all to be at public locations because I would like to drink your coffee more because I love your all's coffee.
and at the public locations, we still ask for a guarantee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's something
And-
that's changed.
Yeah, so we ask for a minimum guarantee, and our goal is always to exceed the minimum guarantee. In the event that we do not, we ask the host, like, can you make up the balance so that our minimum is met, so that we can pay for goods, services, prep time, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Like, yeah. And we will be in public on February the 11th at Marble. It's unannounced. Yeah, this is insider information. What's wrong? That's when you're going into space. Is February the 11th.
February 11th,
Yes.
I will be in Atlanta seeing Billy Wayne Davis, staying with my friend Karen.
How about that?
Damn it.
Sorry.
The one day.
Sorry.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm leaving the night of the 10th.
Uh-huh.
I'll be there the 11th. And oh my God, Moose looks old. Holy shit, he looks old.
And
Look
he's
at him.
not like that. What is he? Late 50s? Because he was playing in the Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith,
Yeah.
Michael Irvin era of the Cowboys. I'm going to say 59. Are you looking it up? Is that what you're doing?
It's
Okay.
56.
Ah,
You got it right the first time.
but it's,
First thought, best thought.
do you guess it's just like the hairline? Is that what's making him look older?
It could be also that he looks skinnier than he did back then. So when you
Oh,
look
'cause
skinnier,
he-
you could look more gaunt.
Because he was a guy built like someone who would have a nickname, Moose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay.
February.
That's a bummer.
Just cancel. Billy Wayne, he'll be playing somewhere else, right?
No, he won't.
No.
I'm bummed he's not coming to Knoxville on that trip. But in that, I'm getting to go see my friend Karen again,
Mm-hmm.
which I went early December to see her.
Mm-hmm.
And a little inside baseball. There's Trader Vic's in Atlanta,
Yeah.
which is a tiki bar restaurant.
Oh, okay.
And they just closed the one in London, and there's a strong chance the
London,
one in
England?
Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a strong chance the one in Atlanta is going to close in the next 6 months. So I kind of want to go one last time
Yeah.
before they close.
That's
And
fine.
Karen's never been there.
Okay.
So it's like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Also, it was unpublished, so I didn't have it on my calendar,
You didn't know.
bastard.
You didn't know. Like,
Because otherwise, if you had been doing it during the day, I probably would have. I still wouldn't have. I'm sorry. Because I'll have more opportunities, hopefully. Yeah.
There'll be something else. Yes. There's
Also, I am in the exclusive group, dear home listener, that they have coffee nights at their house. So I get to drink delicious coffee at their house
that's true.
without having to fight off the nice people that come and spend money with them out
That's
in
true.
public. I was going to say something mean and pivoted at the last second.
Good move. Good work.
Okay.
Marble City Sweets, though, for you Knoxville people, my favorite bakery. favorite.
This episode may not be out. Sorry.
Hey, but Marble City Sweets will still be around.
Yeah,
Marble City Sweets.
that's true.
So super good. Cupcakes and cookies, amongst the favorites I've ever had.
And also, if you need another bonus, there's a Carm store right next to it, and I love going and picking through their records and stuff.
And a comic book shop.
Yeah,
Snake Eyes, right?
yeah. Because last time I went there, it was pouring rain. I remember that. And I went over to Carm afterwards and actually found some really good records for really cheap. That I was like, holy shit, this is West Knoxville. I would never come here for any reason other than coming to. And I got sweets there, and they were really good.
Oh, yeah. They're Miss Lee's.
But it was hard not to eat them all at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
But I really
get that.
wanted to.
I get
So
that.
the other thing anybody at home needs to know is Adam and I have marketing meetings. And I use air quotes when I say marketing meetings. Although we talk about business and shit.
Sure we do.
We actually do. We actually have a lot, quite a bit. But donuts are also another factor.
Donuts.
And I told this story just recently. I love telling the story. We go to Masters Donuts in Clinton, and we go there, and it's 2 high school kids working there, and their coffee maker looks like they haven't made coffee in like 3 days, and it kind of tasted like
It's a little thick.
But we got their donuts, and Adam and I are sitting there, and I just keep opening the donut box. I bought a dozen because why would you not?
Yeah.
You bought a dozen because you were like, I'm going to take some home to Amy.
Yes.
So I opened it up, and I would eat a donut, and I would close it, and we'd keep talking. And I would open it up, and I would eat a donut. And I think I ate 5, and I looked at you. I was like, we need to leave, or I'm going to eat this entire dozen.
And I am a very slow eater.
Yeah.
So, like, my slow eating, like, prolongs the amount of time that we sit there.
But it was hilarious. I was like, I have to leave because I'm
Yeah.
going to eat. Also,
You did.
They
You
are
did.
so good.
Which, that reminds me, Elst Brewing Company, which
Yeah.
is my favorite brewery around our home, they now have a deal with the donut shop where they do free donut delivery.
Okay.
And I think it's on Fridays and Saturdays, and on the tabletop plaque that's advertising that, it says delivery. I'm doing air quotes because what says in minutes. Like, that's pretty cool.
Not to take the wind out of that, they're also doing that with Postmodern Spirits, which I find very interesting.
And crafty.
Oh,
And-
really?
And I mean, maybe the donut shop, maybe they're just doing it because I mean they're neighbors with so many breweries. Like why not? Like, just do it with everybody. I think
saw
that's cool.
Postmodern post about that, and I was like, that's interesting. But it's also the same thing of, oh shit, you could make a killer cocktail with some donuts.
It'd be very fun.
Or some kind of pairing, like a blackberry donut with a blackberry drink. Like,
Crafty Bastard did a blueberry donut stout,
really?
and last year, 2 years ago, and they did use ingredients from the donut shop. Like, yeah, there was this window of time. It seems like it was really close together when Crafty Bastard did a blueberry donut stout and a banana.
I had that one.
I love the banana one because
Yeah.
I love bananas. Like,
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, it was like I spent like 2 or 3 weekends in a row at Crafty when they were releasing like these sweet dessert and or fruity drinks. Like, oh, sign me up for that. Like, I want that.
The funniest, I was sitting in there one time, and Aaron, for those at home, the guy who owns and runs Crafty, he walked up to me with literally like a beaker, a little beaker of bourbon barrel aged stout.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, I know you like this kind of stuff. Will you test this and let me know what you think? And I drank it, and I said, you're very lucky in that you haven't told me which barrel has this in there, because look at me.
I would punch through it
No, I would be carrying it out of here with me.
like Donkey,
was so
like
good.
Donkey Kong.
It was so good. It was so good.
Do you remember what it was?
It was a bourbon barrel aged stout.
Oh, that was what they
Yeah,
called
it was just a
Okay,
bourbon
gotcha.
barrel aged stout.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to taste it because he knew I liked that stuff.
You do like that stuff?
Yeah.
No,
And that's, well, the donut thing, I'm going to throw some shade, and
Oh no.
The
Shade alert.
the
Shade
eye roll that Adam is going to do, he might hurt his neck on this. Well, there's one brewery, if they actually acknowledged any other brewery in town, their beers would pair perfectly with donuts.
Shade alert. Shade alert.
For those listening at home, I've had
to.
to stop talking about this
Shade
place with Adam because I think he has grown tired of me picking on them. But also off mic, or maybe on mic, where I talked about community. I love community.
Yes.
And I love that almost all of our breweries love and respect and work with one another.
It's
so
wonderful.
when I see ones not doing that, it really bothers me.
It's wonderful. I saw there was a quote. I had never thought about it at the time when I saw the quote, but I've remembered it for many years.
Okay.
At least 6, because I remember reading it at Scripps, because
Okay.
I repeated it in a meeting at Scripps, that when you're genuinely happy for the success of others, the pie gets bigger. And what a great way to think about that.
Yeah.
That we don't have to, our business peers are not our enemies.
Yeah.
And in order for us to make a living, we don't have to destroy everybody that sells what we're like.
Yeah.
No, we're very fortunate in Knoxville, in East Tennessee. There's enough customer base and money being spent where we can all do good.
And there's so many more people coming here.
Yeah, we can all do good, and hey, we can even do stuff together.
Yeah.
I was at Elst just last night, and they had done a collaboration with Ebony and Ivory,
Yeah.
who's sort of like catty corner across the street from them. And they both, Ebony and Ivory and Elst, are both selling the beer and both promoting it online as, hey, look at this thing we do with our neighbor. That's great. So it's an IPA, which is not my favorite category of beer, but I got it out of I just appreciate what this is. It's two groups working together and two groups promoting each other. And if it's any validation for one more person to buy it, I want to validate what you're doing.
Well, it's like the Craft Beer Week, where they'll all get together and collaborate on one beer that's only available that week. It's a beautiful thing.
So fun.
Yeah.
So
it's a
very
beautiful
fun.
thing.
Yeah. And the other thing I got at Else that I think you would, now I know you like stouts and you don't deviate much. They
Stouts
have
and a porter every once in a while if it's not too high in IBUs.
Well, now that I think it might be a stout. I can't quite remember, but it's a s'mores flavored beer.
Oh.
And the picture that they use to promote it online.
What the fuck are we doing here?
We're just running up the score.
Philly, it's 27-0. They just scored a touchdown, and they're going for 2, which I don't understand.
We're just embarrassing people out here. There's got to be a stat behind it. The play caller must have got a stat of there's a high probability. What do they do? Are they just looking at their lineup? They're looking to see how they lined up, maybe? I don't know.
Also, why is that coach that far down the field?
Yeah, it seems like he shouldn't be. The Eagles coach.
Hell, Heupel got a flag this year for being too far down the field.
Yeah, you can't do that. Can't do that. But the picture that Elst used to promote, it's called the You're Killing Me Weston S'mores Stout, maybe. Weston is one of the folks that works at Elst, so it's an inside joke. Was the vat, that might not be the right terminology, they're brewing this thing in, and just swimming on the top of this vat, covering every inch of the diameter, literal toasted marshmallows. They're just marinating
So
in
this is still on there?
It was there last night.
Okay.
Yeah. It was
So
super
maybe
good.
next week,
Yeah.
after I get off work, I can just go there for a beer and then go home.
Super good.
So I'll have to bug you about.
And I'll happily go to Elst anytime. And they put some in. They put a limited amount in cans, so maybe the cans won't be there by next week. But it was good. I had that. I had the coffee lager, which includes cold brew coffee from Refill Coffee Cart, and then I had the Bear Rouge. That's the collaboration with Ebony and Ivory.
Okay.
Which is IP. It's good. Someone told me it translates to Red Beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rouge is red, so
Yeah. So maybe it's Bare.
Huh.
I can't quite remember.
I still have not made it to Ebony and Ivory. Yeah.
I've been a couple times, enjoyed both times. I couldn't tell you what I drank because I like just trying everything.
Yeah.
I don't have a category I stay in. So usually if something has a cool name or a cool label, like I will have one of those, please.
Well, there are two breweries in town that I'm friends with the owners and head brewers.
Mm-hmm.
That I love them as people, but neither place have I ever had a beer that I liked.
Oh,
because
it's too bad.
No, it's because of me. It's because I like stouts
Yes.
and heavy porters with low in IBUs.
Yeah.
I learned that from a woman I dated.
Okay.
That I had a porter at one of those places.
Yep.
And I was like, this is still not good. And she's like, well, look at the IBUs. That's what's wrong. That's why you don't like it.
Interesting.
And it's all on me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't go
There's
there.
something wrong
I
with
don't,
you.
Yeah, fuck off. I don't go to either one of those places that often, and I feel kind of guilty, and I don't know how to tell the people that are my friends, can you please make one, in the wintertime, can you make one beer that I like? Because there are places, I will name drop this one, like Crafty, that I can go in, and there will be like 3 beers that I can have.
And like this wonderful variety. Like,
Yes.
hey, like IPA, we got a couple. Oh, hey, like porters, we got one. You like stout, we got one.
Yeah.
You like a light? They even did like I may be mixing them up with Elst, but it seems like they had like a really light, like crispy one. Like,
Yeah, they usually do.
cool. Thank
Yeah.
you. Like, just so there's like a little bit of everything for everybody, and then you can even go in there and buy frog juice kombucha and a soda. And I think that's cool.
Oh, yeah, was it the ginger ale or something that they also make?
Yeah, Crafty does their own ginger ale.
So good.
And it is good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Beer Talk segment brought to you by.
I'm trying to think. I think we're pretty much caught up to where you're at now. So I'll start asking some future thought. Thank you.
Future.
Is there anything you would like to see more in the coffee world? Like, you see trends and stuff now because you're also a nerd for this shit.
I am. Yeah. There's nothing that immediately comes to mind. It's like, I wish this was like a universal thing you saw with coffee businesses all over the nation. There's nothing that comes to mind immediately. Now, as I marinate on it, this is perhaps like a wish for me as someone who helps make decisions for refill, but could also impart on other people running coffee businesses, is embrace your, is it niche or niche? Niche. Embrace your niche. In that, I think it is exhausting and has limited payoffs to try and be everything for everybody. Of the, hey, if your coffee business is just really into black single origin cups coffee, then like you do that. Like that's cool. Like, hey, we got all these drip coffees and pancake frappuccino. It's like,
Well, I'll give a wider version of that, and you're not saying to niche down to one thing, but it's like Bones Coffee Company does a great job with doing weird and unique flavors.
Yep.
And flavor
and
combinations.
everything's flavored.
So that's what I mean,
Everything.
is that is, even though their niche is weird and unique, it's still wide open.
And when you look at their artwork, I don't need to see the Bones Coffee logo to know it's a Bones Coffee ad.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty stinking cool.
Yeah.
And I've seen some companies draw a lot of inspiration from Bones. And like Bones' brand is so strong is why I perceive like, ooh, you look at Bones Coffee ads too, don't you? Like, I see it. Like,
So my buddy Mark had the best thing to say on that. He said, imitation is the sincerest form of fucking stealing.
I'm laughing at the funny twist at the end.
So that may be the first time I've ever said that without fucking up how that went.
Yeah.
I always forget what the beginning is.
Yeah.
Screw it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said that because there was some emo band that somehow they popped up, and I listened, and the opening of the emo band song was literally the opening for Merle Haggard's Mama Tried. And I sent it to him, and I was like, am I nuts? Isn't that just Mama Tried? And he listened to it, and he came over to my desk later. This one I was working at the paper. And he was like, man, he was like, yeah, it is. He's like, but, imitation is the sincerest form of fucking stealing. He did it so earnestly that I could not breathe. I was laughing so hard.
I like that showmanship. Yeah. That's good.
Mark Corin. Great dude. Awesome dude. Yeah.
And and there are other coffee businesses that I look at and I think that's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm the marketing guy for Refill. And I think that's cool, but I make a real conscious effort to not bring similar ideas to Refill. Cuz I admire it. Yeah. I see that it gets positive reaction, but that's not Refill.
Right.
One company that I don't mind saying, I think they do such a cool job is RAD, R-A-D Coffee. And they're based out in California. I can't remember the city they're in. And surely I've mentioned it somewhere before.
It looks like Long Beach.
And so many of their things are horror movie themed. And skulls and neon colors and stuff that looks like blood and guts. Maybe
shit, I love.
Maybe
I
not.
like this.
Maybe not blood and guts. But I love how everything they do looks. But it would be fun to have merch like that or packaging like that. But I know in my heart, that's not my idea, and that's not Refill. Refill is not paying tribute to horror movies. That's not what we do. We're have a softer shell on us than having a menu of Freddy Krueger themed drinks, kind
or
of thing.
Or a patch with an eyeball.
Right. But doesn't that look cool?
Skateboarding.
Doesn't that look?
God, it's skateboarding.
Doesn't that look? Doesn't that look so cool? Yeah, I think Rad Coffee's great, and Rad Coffee is, I would have to imagine the main decision makers behind it probably really love horror movies and punk rock artwork and
Skater.
that kind
Skater
of thing.
people.
And hey, that's your little niche, and do that. That's cool. And for Refill, we want to be a fun, easily approachable coffee company.
Yeah.
And by fun, hey, we're going to have pictures on our menus. And there might be someone making you coffee wearing an animal print t-shirt sometimes. And there might be a special on the menu that includes Cheetos. And that's who we are. And
or 5 pumps of habanero hot sauce.
Just brutally spicy habanero hot sauce.
Hey, it wasn't brutally to me, man. It was fine.
You're tougher than me. And
we're going to leave that for people to just ask us later. Anybody who's into hour 6 of this, they'll be like, what did you all mean about the 5 pumps of habanero?
Oh, yeah.
I love that album by the Gravediggers.
Yeah, 5 pumps of habanero.
Man, it was great.
I mean, what was the single off that one?
It was Pain, Pain, I Give You Pain.
Man, they don't write them like that anymore.
No, they don't. They don't. Well, it's because it can't fit on the little screen on your
Spotify.
Spotify.
You got to convert to vertical imagery.
Yeah.
It's vertical, dude, not horizontal.
God, that took me too long to pull Gravediggers.
Just edit it. Make it seem like... What was the... Red Rum was one of the Gravediggers? Who was... someone's... Russell Simmons' nephew or something like that?
Gravediggers
Yes.
was the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan and Prince Paul. Russell Simmons' nephew may have been in it, but I didn't know that.
Well, maybe they weren't the Gravediggers. But
They were in, even though you're so much younger than me,
yes,
they were a style of rap, horrorcore,
Yeah.
to where it was Gravediggers. It was actually 3 6 Mafia and Bone, Thugs and Harmony.
Okay.
Were all horrorcore. And there was another one that used the B from the Boston Bruins, but I can never remember that band's name.
This one did the one I'm thinking of did not have that level of success. And I want to think that one of the artists in it, his name was Red Rum.
Okay. No.
But
Red Rum, shit. Red Man did an album that I think Muddy Waters. I think it had I think the one before that had Red Rum in the title or something. Now I'm trying to look up who I was. Oh, they're classifying Ghetto Boys as kind of horrorcore.
I mean, like maybe there was some songs, but that seems like a stretch to call them a horrorcore group.
They're even citing like DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince and Nightmare on My Street. No. Fat Boys had Are You Ready for Free? No, those are not horrorcore.
When I Googled horrorcore artists, the first 3 results are Insane Clown Posse, Tech Nine, and Eminem.
I'm seeing Eminem and Insane Clown Posse and Tech Nine on here.
Okay, let's look at the Gravediggers. Who all was in the Gravediggers?
Good luck, because I was just on their page, and one of the guys does not have a Wikipedia page, and the other guy does.
Says the Gatekeeper, the Grim Reaper, the Resurrector, and the Undertaker. And like the Undertaker is like the, what is it, like synonym or alias of Prince Paul. The Grim Reaper is too poetic, and then you know who the Resurrector is. But I used to, as a kid, we didn't have cable television in our house, but there was this window of time where I could get through the staticky snow MTV2.
Oh, yeah.
And every Sunday, MTV2 had this block of programming called Sucker Free Sunday. And
yeah,
and there'd be like behind the music, but exclusively about hip hop acts and other short documentaries about hip hop acts. And then there'd be a block of music videos. And there was one that they used to show on regularly that touched on that era of horrorcore. And I have this little blip of a memory where they're like, yeah, this one act that didn't quite stand the test of time, but they had a chance because this one member was a nephew of someone who was very influential in labels or producing or A&R or something like that. I just can't piece together the puzzle to make it a useful memory. Yeah.
I'm looking up Russell Simmons' nephew rapper.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I thought like, oh yeah, the Gravediggers, because they had a group name, but clearly not the Gravediggers.
It always drives me nuts that I can't remember the name of the band that used the Boston Bruins as their...
Yeah, I don't know what that would be. Horrorcore. I'm
trying, but I'm not going to be able to find this.
I'll do that in my own time.
Yeah.
We're on Canada Dry's time right now. These folks want a tight podcast. When they ask for a tight 5, how we doing on time?
Top 5.
Yep.
We're on hour 6.
This is an anthology.
I'm trying to wrap up. I swear to God.
And we're done. That's what you do.
No.
Yeah.
It was the question I'd asked, what would you like to see more of in the coffee world?
Oh, yeah. Like, I would like, I think you embrace your niche.
Okay.
I'm going to say I instead of you.
Yeah.
I want to do more to embrace the niche of refill and not get so concerned with comparison for our peer group or even, more established brands than us. And I think I'll leave it at that because I'll run the risk of rambling as I try to chase a thought, because there wasn't anything that popped in my head of oh yeah, I know right what it is. I'm like, I think, you find,
and that's the
niche.
coffee world at large. That's not even. It doesn't even have to be refilled. Just okay.
No, just like sometimes we've gotten requests for, hey, when you all come serve at our event, can we do French presses? Like, no. And here's why. Not just like a hard no. It's, well, here's the equipment, here's space we have to work with. And, it's just not in our niche to do like a slow coffee where you need to dedicate, 5 minutes to make ours is quick, fun, sweet drinks. Hey, if you need a black cup of coffee, we can do that.
Yeah.
But forgive me, can't do French press.
Yeah. Is there anyone you would like to work with other than Feral Giant on I'm going to keep pitching that every year.
Yeah.
A limited run brand of beans at Christmas time.
that tastes like Giants?
I don't know.
Tastes like beard hair.
I would just love to do.
Ooh, it's a bag of beard hair. And you clump it together like a
All right,
bird.
well, it's nice having you on, Adam. We can stop right here. I don't have any more questions.
Like a bird's nest and
Or
use it
even
as a
just
filter.
I would love to do, if y'all did I don't know. I just want to do a label for y'all.
Yeah.
Like a specialty fun, rad, bones.
Ooh, skulls and skateboards.
Yeah. No, I don't have to rip any of that off, but just something fun, one-off. I don't know. So is there anybody else you'd like to work with other than Feral Giant?
Other than Feral Giant.
Tombras, maybe, or... Sorry.
I sent an email. I think it'd be fun to do something with One Knoxville, the new soccer club in Knoxville. I think that would be really cool. And there's a couple of things that are pending that I'll tell you about afterwards. But I don't want to put any pressure on the other party to come through if they decide that it's not something they
already. Y'all have worked with Elst. You've worked with
Crafty.
You worked with It's Also Yummy Cafe with our friend Kim.
Geezer's Brewery. We've done something. And Marble City Sweets, who are friends, we've traded some ideas about some dessert things. Hey, maybe could we do this kind of thing?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of finding the time with both of us to actually sit down and recipe test.
Some kind of coffee-infused marshmallows or coffee-infused fudge. Because she does both of those, right? I think so.
She does.
I thought I bought a bag of marshmallows.
She said fudge brownies. I don't remember the marshmallows, but that doesn't mean they don't do it.
Yeah.
But that would be really fun to do something. Oh, I sent an idea over to our friend Kim, and It's Also Yummy, and it's on me to bring a sample to her, and I haven't done it.
Okay. Well, by the time this comes out, you'll all have done that.
Yep, that's the hope. Yep. But yeah, I'll tell you about the specifics of those when we close up. But I don't want to put them on the hook of oh, please do this because I talked about it in public.
But is there anybody like Hacksaw Jim Duggan? Would you like to do it? No, I'm just
in a daydream scenario, it'd be really cool to do something with a hacksaw, someone I loved as a child. But
maybe a Cocoa Beware.
Okay, that's interesting because where I was going to go with that is that would be so fun. Although my priority would to be do things for people who are local to Tennessee, because Refill is a Tennessee business, and but Cocoa Beware's from Union City, Tennessee. I don't know where he lives now, but he's from Union City, Tennessee. Okay. Yeah. Who else is from? Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman was nice enough to let us put his name on a drink, the habanero one. And that felt really cool because I cheered for him.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't even believe he answered my DM.
Yeah.
that he would let us do that kind of thing. Like, yeah, but it'd be fun to do something with the local sports teams. We've
Oh man,
we work with the Legend.
Smokies.
The Smokies would be fun. There's an ingredient we've used in one drink that came out.
Do you want me to give you Randy's phone number and give it to you right now?
Just call him. Just
Okay.
hey Randy, you're live on the air.
I'm gonna FaceTime it.
It's a syrup that tastes and smells like hickory smoke.
Oh shit.
And we did it at an event it was the day after the Vols football team beat the Gators. And so we called it the Vols Victory Latte. And we only did it iced or frozen because I say because Chad and Amy didn't even have time to taste it. It was such a quick turnaround. We only did it iced and frozen because that's the only way I liked it. It was candied orange syrup, a little dash of that hickory smoke because Smokey the dog, right?
Yeah.
Coffee, milk, and then you garnish it with a slice of orange. And man, it was so good.
Nice.
And then I'd never seen hickory smoked syrup in a coffee drink before. So
Okay.
that's extra exciting to me when we can figure out how to use an ingredient that at least I have not seen in a coffee
Okay.
drink before. And when I was describing it to people, the feedback I got was apparently hickory smoke is an ingredient of an old fashioned.
Can be.
Is that right? Okay. Because I've had an old
You can
fashioned.
have a smoked old fashioned.
Okay. Because I've had one, but I didn't know what it was. I just ordered it. Okay.
Old fashioned is bourbon, bitters. Shit, I think that's it. So,
Shit.
yeah.
What kind?
Nutty.
Nutty.
You're disgusting. Okay. Anybody else you'd like to work with before we move to the next one? Let's see. Muddling sugar with bitters and water, adding whiskey. Garnishing with orange slice or zest. And a cocktail cherry.
So we
You can do smoked old fashions.
well, that would be kind of fun to make for the proper occasion to do an old fashioned latte.
Okay.
So we couldn't do the alcohol, but orange, cherry, a little bit hickory smoke, old fashioned one. That's fun idea.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But no, I'll work with Coco Beware. I love it. Coco Beware opened up the show at WrestleMania 6. That's a big deal. That's the Sky Dome in Toronto. Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in the main event opened up by Coco Beware from Union City, Tennessee.
I just have one thing to say to you.
Yes.
I am a real American.
Fight for the rights of every man. I
You
am
automatically
a
start
real
pumping your fist.
American.
Okay.
Fight for
Do
what's
you
right.
set goals or a checklist?
Yes. Have a daily checklist for me personally, and then the goals we set as a team. Our meeting is tomorrow
Okay.
to talk about finances, and we last met in December, and I had some marketing ideas that I asked Amy and Chad to consider. Okay, can we pursue these things coming? And then we'll go from there. And the goals will always be about revenue. How can we pay to hire more help? Can we execute a specific number of partnerships every year? Like we do with Elst. Elst Brewing Company has coffee lager on tap right now with our cold brew coffee. We want to work with more businesses like that because we really admire, we were talking about how the breweries work together. We want to do stuff like that. And then, there's got to be something in there about I was about to say there's got to be something in there about growth too, but growth is revenue and
Well, that was going to be my next
and
question.
hiring
is,
more team. Yeah.
Do you know what you like to do in the next 10 years?
Yeah.
Do you have some big ones that are if we could do this, that would be so fucking cool?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, not at the moment. There's one of the flaws of how my portion of running the business has been is I'm very focused on let's get through this month. And okay, if I get through this month, then I'll have these bigger visions. And I have kicked that this month can down the road for going on 6 years. And one of the excuses I'll make of why I haven't done that is because our business is already very different than when we started. Like, we thought we were going to be a vending company, but now
Right.
we were a catering company. And I can't find a lot of precedent of a lot of other like coffee catering companies of someone to even kind of wish to be like. So I guess one of my goals is I need to think about, where do we want Refill in the next 5 years? Because that'll be our 10-year mark.
Yeah.
And there's a very small percentage of small businesses that last 10 years, and I want that to be meaningful. Like, it would be a personal failure if we got to 10 years and I was still kicking the can down the road of like, well, I'll worry about bigger picture later.
Right.
I'll worry about bigger picture later. It's like, no, eventually I'll have to stop making that excuse that I'll get to it next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here's how we'll end.
Uh-huh.
An hour 12. If you could go back to, I'm going to say September, October 2017,
Yeah.
Adam,
Yeah.
Scripps Network's working Adam, and tell him about how Refill is going now, what would you tell him?
Yeah. It's worth it, and that you have to be willing to get your heart broken if you want this to work. Because in the beginning, I was just so concentrated on, I want to do everything perfect, and I want everybody to like me, and I don't want to disappoint anybody. And when people would complain about drinks or complain about me or just not enjoy the service, like, just feel like quitting. Just like, why bother? Like, nobody likes me. Nobody likes these drinks. And now looking back, I can see you had to get beat up a little bit. And I wish I'd been more prepared to have my heart broken, because how I've lived my life, I've tried to avoid having my heart broken. As someone who's like really sensitive and like afraid of a lot of things, sort of like tiptoe through life and like, okay, I'm not really going to try as hard as I can because it hurt really bad if this doesn't work out. Like, my dream job when I was a child was to be a pro wrestler. Like, I wanted, by this time I thought I'd be WWF heavyweight champion of the world and touring the world. And I was a pro wrestler on a very small scale, too afraid to really try to make a living at it. I went back to school to get a degree in advertising, too afraid to move away and really try and make it in advertising world. And then like trying not to have my heart broken, like trying not to have like my goal get smashed out here and have to tell pre-refill Adam, you're gonna get your heart broken. Like, somebody's gonna tell you suck and your drinks are nasty and you're gonna have bad stewards of your business, your company's money, and you're gonna empty out the bank account and people are gonna lie to you. And but that is how it'll get better. Like, you just have to trudge through this. And it still would, even if I'd had that advice starting out, it still would have hurt, but there would have been more hope. Where sometimes, like, it just felt like it was hopeless. And I think it was just kind of my ego holding it on. Just like, well, I can't quit now. Like, there's nothing to be proud of now. And it would have been nice if paired with my ego would have been like genuine hope of just like, this is just how it goes sometimes. Like, this is just a very tough job. And by tough job, I mean working for yourself, not just coffee. Like, working for yourself is really tough. And it's hard to see what seems like your peers succeeding at everything.
Yeah.
And feeling like I'm failing at everything. And my conclusion was, well, clearly I'm just not smart enough. Like, I'm just not clever
Obviously.
enough. Yeah, you know. And I would have prepared 2017 Adam for that.
Okay.
Not lied to him. So this is really going to hurt.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally, this is really going to hurt. But this is the recipe for success is
Yeah.
you get beat up.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Kids, go forth in the world. Kid, hey, guess what? You're gonna get your dick knocked in the dirt, and you're gonna get the shit kicked out of you.
Like to be horribly over dramatic. You remember that speech in Rocky Balboa that he gives his kid out there on the street corner? It's not
You
about.
don't have to. Why are you asking me a question? I already know that. You and I can both recite that damn quote. I have not watched that quote in a long time, though.
The world ain't always sunshine and rainbows. It's a very rough, mean place, and it'll knock you to your knees and keep you there if you let it. But life ain't about how hard you can get. It ain't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep going forward.
Keep moving forward.
But you got to be willing to take the hit.
Yeah.
If you know what you're worth, go and get what you're worth. Like in some circles, I could say, man, there's this really beautiful quote from Rocky Balboa, and people would think like, you're so dumb.
Yeah.
But like, that is a really good quote.
Yes.
And you could see it as something very shallow of like, well, you got to be willing to get hit. And like, if you perceive it as shallow, it will be shallow. But like, if you really think about like your progression as trying to be a reasonable, productive member of society, or trying to build a company that, you don't have like incredible financial backing of like, yeah, like you got to be willing to get hit. You got to be willing to have your heart broken. But you're not alone. Like, this is what we're all, even if some people are better at bragging or hiding, like we're all feeling this. And it's not because you're dumb or you're not capable.
Like the great poet laureate of our time, R. Kelly, said, "You are not alone." No, that was Michael Jackson. Fuck, both of them are awful. I was going to say, I'm pulling up because I'm curious if you've ever heard it. Have you seen the film? Shit, what is the movie? The Oliver Stone football movie.
Any Given Sunday.
Any Given Sunday. Have you seen
Life is a Game of Inches. That one? Yeah. Al Pacino. Yeah.
That is a great community of the same thing. It's like life is a game of inches, and it's about looking at your brother next to you. Or even another one like that is Billy Bob Thornton's speech from Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
Have you ever heard that one?
Oh, I've seen the movie, but I can't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the three that I go back to all the time. Of course, the Rocky Balboa one, because for those listening at home, Adam and I have talked about that speech and that quote to the point that if we ever meet Sylvester Stallone, it may be uncomfortable.
Similar to you, I have a little private playlist on YouTube.
There it is. See, look, I've searched for it two different ways.
Yeah, you have.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And it's just called inspiring promos. Promos is a term that gets equated with pro wrestling interviews. And on like particularly hard days, usually like when I'm at the kitchen by myself, I can't watch because I'm loading, unloading, cleaning kind of thing, but I'll just listen to it and just like have like a good cry and just like, all right, dude. Like I can finish cleaning. Like I got enough motivation now.
Here's usually that question I asked you is if you could go back to 14-year-old version of yourself, what would you tell that person? I completely stole that from Ryan Sickler of the Honeydew podcast and the Crab Feast. And I love you, Ryan. And I'm sorry for stealing that, but I think it's a great question. But I knew that wouldn't work for you. Me going back to 14-year-old Jody, something I would tell him, it's okay to cry.
Oh, man.
You are not less manly for crying. Like that is something I've had to work hard on since the pandemic is, oh no, it's okay.
Yeah, I think the pandemic had a whole bunch of us reckoning with our emotions that we've been trying to avoid and could really easily distract ourselves from our emotions because you know what, I feel bad, I'm just gonna call so-and-so and we're gonna hang out. And not implying that is always a bad move to spend time with friends, but I'll just go have a good time and forget about it. And the pandemic, like, can't really can't really go have a good time. Can't really forget
No.
about it. Just gotta sit here and wallow in this.
I think it was like early December, standing right there, standing up, having a cry that it was from March 13th of 2020 to December of whatever that day was. Let's say 13th.
Yeah.
All of that build up, a cry, because something happened where I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to survive."
Yeah.
At a moment that I wasn't 100% sure I was going to survive.
Yeah.
And it hit me to the point to where I couldn't breathe. Like, I was crying so hard.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
We have that function for a reason.
Yeah.
Like there's usefulness in it. And I don't know who to attribute it to, but it gets clipped in a lot of sound bites of motivational speeches you'll find on the internet. And one of them is, don't cry to quit, cry to keep going.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, like don't let the crying be the end of it, but just like, man, there'll be something therapeutic if I just cry about it.
Yeah.
And then you have it all out of you and like, all right, well now what do we do?
Oh, yeah. I think I've cried more in the last 2 years and probably in the last 20 years.
Good for you.
Which is
Yeah.
a weird revelation to come through.
Yeah.
I will give... Here, I got to end on a funny note.
Okay.
So, my favorite band is this Icelandic band, Sigur Rós.
Uh-huh.
Had never seen them until, I think it was last fall.
Okay.
Went to Nashville, saw them at the Ryman.
Oh.
And I cried
Mm-hmm.
fully from beginning into one of their songs. But a lot of my crying is tied to, what's it called? When you get hype, adrenaline.
Okay.
That I was literally shaking and like I could have punched through a brick wall. Because growing up, playing sports, boxing, all that shit, whenever I would cry, whenever I would hit a certain point of adrenaline, I would actually cry a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there literally with my hands in my pockets, grabbing my thighs as hard as I can, because that's the only way I can let it out, and just crying from beginning to end of song for 2 songs. And when I posted about seeing them live, I was like, and I only cried twice, which seems like a win both ways.
Yeah.
And I didn't cry through the whole thing.
Yep.
And I actually did cry. Like,
Yep.
but it was just like the same thing, going back about meeting people who are famous. To, if I was able to tell those guys that, it would be good for them, I think, to hear that.
Yeah.
But it would also be very cathartic and awesome for me
Yeah.
to let them know how much what they've done has meant to me.
Yeah.
You know?
I think you're totally right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's weird that it takes so long for men to acknowledge that.
But we figured it out.
Yeah.
Right. And my dad, who's not here anymore, didn't raise me like that.
Yeah.
That you get to have emotions in public or in private. And my mom didn't encourage it either. So.
Oh, shit. No, it's being a pansy.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up around sports, especially. Like,
Yeah. You're being weak.
yeah.
Yeah. No.
Oh, hell. I'm sure I've told you this, like watching, and I don't say this as a slight to my dad, but it's weird being older and being able to point to one moment and say, that is literally why I am this way,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
Yeah.
And it was in middle school. We were playing basketball. We beat the other team. We were walking out. One of the other players came out, slammed himself down on a couch, was crying his eyes out and kicking the shit out of the couch. And by the time we made to the front door, before my dad hit the door, he turned around and put his finger in my face and said, "Boy, I better never see you do shit like that ever." And that's why when something good happens, I'm not over the moon. And when something bad happens, I'm not debilitated. I'm just even keeled down the middle, because you better not show fucking emotion.
Yeah. Heaven forbid.
Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
I actually think it's kind of a good thing, because then when good things happen, it's like, it's the old adage of we'll see. Have you ever heard that story where it's like a monk in a village is talking to somebody and they're like, oh, this boy learned how to ride a horse. Isn't that so great? We'll see. He breaks his leg and they're like, oh my God, isn't that so bad? He broke his leg. We'll see. And then a war breaks out, but the boy can't go to the war because of his broken leg. And they're like, isn't that so great? We'll see. And
No, I've never heard that.
Yeah. And I think that's the even keel is like, this is great, that this is good. I'm going to enjoy this for a moment.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
Because I can't. So I'm spinning it as that's a good thing. Because I tell people I love them and I hug them and all that.
Yes.
But we'll see.
Okay.
That's a good way to end this.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Thank you for being on.
You're welcome.